yeah. Oh, there he is.
Sorry, it took me a minute. I was having some trouble with my camera, which I still am. Hold up. I'm like in this bitch's ass. Hold up.
That's some dramatic entrance talk there.
Wait, are we live?
Oh, yeah.
Hold up. What's up, everybody?
Yeah, hello. I was noodling on the base there. The last few times I've had to go live, like just myself and just like, hey, wait. I mean, but it doesn't matter. I mean,
I'm trying to do. There's this thing that I can do where I can flip my camera, so I can mirror
just
my camera.
Move it slightly, so you're not all we can see is your ear peeking out of the butt. Your nose is right in the woman's butt. That's perfect though. That's not.
Oh, how about here?
Let's not pretend you're not a dirty dog.
Well, what's going on, big guy?
Well, not much. I just I've set myself up for a heavy schedule of streams just because I'm able to. For like the whole month of August, I have this time slot free, like in the evening. So I just thought I got you, and then I've done like I don't know 5 or 6 just recently, and I got another one tomorrow and Friday, and like I'm just gonna keep doing it. So you can come on anytime you want to, like just for the month of August. I'm just gonna do them because I got like 2 hours free in the evening right here, and nothing else to do. So I mean, it's fun to do, right?
Hell yeah.
So let's do it. Lord Wilshield, hello. That's how you get pink eye. No, is it? Really? I don't know about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You talking about that was up in that lady's rear end.
Yes, that's what he means. That lady's rear end.
Yeah.
You can't get pink eye that way, can you?
Yeah.
I know you can get. Can you?
Yeah.
Pink eye?
Big time.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Shit, I didn't know.
What happens when you get poop in your eyeball?
Poop. Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, pink eye. I thought that was a very specific bacteria. I know you can get like other problems, but I didn't know that one.
Yeah, you never got pink eye as a dad.
As a dad? Oh, I've had it several times. As a dad,
yeah. It's probably you're changing diapers and stuff like that. It just happens,
Oh, is that why? Shit!
Yep.
All this time, I thought it was like you were getting it like a virus or something. Like
No, is you like change your diaper? Maybe you don't wash your hands real good, or you change your diaper. Shit's crazy, and you just like scratch your eye or something. Bam, pink eye.
And so every time you get pink eye, it's from shite.
I think so.
True?
Yeah,
really?
So.
Fuck's sake!
I think sometimes the poop is airborne.
What? How?
Yeah, I think it's like particles in the air floating around, and then you just suck it into your eyeball.
Oh, Jesus! So the world is a whole new level of malevolence I wasn't even aware of. It's clouds of unseen poop particles flying into my eyes.
Yeah,
fucking me up. There's a whole new thing. I mean, I don't mind the ass eating part, but Jesus.
Yeah, it's probably crazy right now with all the Fanooks running around.
The what?
The Fanooks.
What's that?
You're
using terminology.
Homosexuals.
Fanooks? Jeez, is this the new term? I'm behind the times.
No, this is a very old term.
Fanook. I never heard this.
Yeah, you never heard Fanook? I guess it's like a Guinea term.
Oh, right.
Guinea American term.
Right, your Latin heritage. I forgot. You're on the one side.
Yeah,
right?
We pick up a couple slang words from it.
Fanook. Okay, maybe it sounds slightly familiar now from like Carlito's Way or something like that. There's the most
Mohicans.
There's the most excellent, actually, Guinea in that show. There's the Italian gangster in that show is the most like a New York Italian guy. I think in any. I don't know if you've seen it. You'd have to watch it again. But
what, Carlito's Way?
Yeah, I think, isn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's an Italian gangster in that, and he's like so just New York Italian. He's like everything he says. I just laugh when I just saw it again recently. I was like, Jesus, that's hilarious.
Yeah, you also got to keep in mind a lot of these guys you see in the movies. They're actors. People in real life aren't really Like The Sopranos isn't real life. You know what I mean? Like you might come across a couple guys like that from Hoboken or something like that. But also like guys like that stereotype actually it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad because the old like New York greaseball archetype is something that everybody likes. It's like the cowboy or the the Bostonian or whatever, right? It's
Right.
an archetype but that guy's going extinct. There's probably more of them living in Florida now than there is in New York.
Well, they certainly took a turn for the cheesy when they came to that kind of Jersey Shore kind of shit. They really went all in on some of them, obviously, on that kind of cheesy, modern, glitzy, Finucci shit. Right? The young ones, anyways.
Also, a lot of the folks in Jersey Shore are Hispanic. They're not even.
Oh
really
shit! I thought they were. I thought they were Italians.
No, some of them are. I believe
Oh.
was it Paulie or whatever. I believe he is authentically Italian, but I'm pretty sure several of them are Hispanics.
Right. We didn't have Italian gangsters in Canada where I grew up, but there was Hell's Angels around. A good few of them.
Yeah.
And they seemed pretty cool back in the day too, but not when I was growing up. The guys, I mean, they were kind of pretty dangerous. You'd be like worried about them. But most of the ones I knew would just be these like fat losers. I mean, they would be you'd be afraid to cross them anyways, but they'd be these big fat guys hanging around like clubs selling like hard drugs to like young girls and just like losers. Like
Yeah.
I hope I don't get like a fucking mail bomb for saying that, Jesus. But
they're not as hard as they used to be, so you can clown on them now.
Yeah. But I remember that about them. But that was the main kind of gangster I would have around when I was growing up.
Yeah. We had them. We have down here. There's the pagans and the warlocks and a bunch of the biker gangs in Pennsylvania are actually sort of big. There was by the time I started growing up, when you get into the 80s and 90s, the reach of La Cosa Nostra. Well, La Cosa Nostra is only really kind of referring to the 5 families in New York, which are there's actually some pretty what would be less than illustrious history in regards to their formation. Some not so Italian, not all of the families, but a few of the families were. We can talk about it another time. It's not something to say out in the open. But yeah,
yes, that's true.
Is what but I'll tell you what, when I was a little kid, my grandfather's generation, it was still very much around. If you were an Italian guy growing up pre-80s, like 70s, 60s, or whatever, on the East Coast, you knew somebody or you knew somebody that knew somebody that was sort of connected with it, right? It's like how, like, blacks, they all know somebody that's into some gangbanger stuff. Or if you go to like a barrio on the West Coast, at least like a couple, you'll run into somebody that knows somebody that's in the cartels. It's just there was a criminal culture attached to Italian Americans for quite a while. So my grandfather was not, at least as far as I know, was not really in it, but there was some stuff about his life that was he had stories about. He got a real cushy job working for this union, and he got paid a lot of money doing it to fix radios. He didn't know the first thing about fixing radios. He said he was a bartend at night at this one bar, and he wasn't bartending. He was running card games in the back. When I was actually my first stereo when I was a kid, my grandfather gave me a stereo. It was like one of the last stereos that had the 2 tape decks and the vinyl player on top. Remember them? It was like the last years that they were making them. I guess it was early 90s. It was like the last years that they were making them. And they were like really high end, right? You'd go to JCPenney and these things were hundreds of dollars. Well, my grandpa just like gave me one, right? He's like, well, and it was one of those fell off a truck kind of stories because he had a bunch of them that he was giving out. So who knows what my grandpa was up to? I know he knew some guys, and I knew that he was very respected and stuff like that. But hey, you know what? I don't like to think about my pop-up like that. Like, He was
Well,
he would
I don't.
be
You have to have a certain respect for them, like the way that was just their old school way, old Sicilian or whatever way of actually just doing stuff. I know they're like a pain in the ass in Italy. They're not. Well, from what you hear, they're not popular. They're probably popular with some people, but yeah, it's like just an old school way of doing stuff. You know, it's not. I wouldn't see it as a mark of total darkness. I know it's like there's a stigma and there's like murder and things involved with it, but there is with most things. You mentioned a biker gang there called the Pagans. They're obviously not actual pagans, right?
no.
No. So you would have that on them. You'd be like, you guys aren't pagans. We are pagans.
Yeah, actually, I know a couple guys that are involved, and we have the one guy, he has since become a pagan. So he kind of didn't want to wear that name and then not know anything about the faith. And then he learned about it and he came into it. So, kudos to him and respect to him. And he's a nice guy. And the other guy, hey,
What?
it's just that kind of lifestyle. You know what I mean? If you grow up a certain way, and you grow into something like that, and people learn how to make money certain ways. I'm not talking shit. You know what I mean? It's
No.
because a lot of people don't realize these groups, the biker gangs, La Costa Nostra, and stuff like that, they to some yuppie or to somebody that's like goody two shoes that isn't working class and didn't have the kind of those kind of struggles, they just look at it as these people are criminals. But the fact of the matter is sometimes these guys do good stuff. One of the organizations that does the biggest drives for Toys for Tots is the Hells Angels. Those guys are giving toys to little kids. You know what I mean?
Like when I see old videos about them, and I have like a lot of respect for them, and like they were, they would do harsh things, but you would have a lot of respect for them, just doing stuff their own way on their own terms. And I just happened anecdotally to have known a couple that were kind of pretty low characters, I thought, but I knew some other ones. I didn't know them well. I wasn't like, I had two friends that were supposedly in it in a kind of outlying kind of way, and they were like good normal guys. They just loved to bike. They were just bikers. They loved their bikes, and there wasn't much else to it. They were tough guys, though. I must say, they were both pretty tough characters.
And here's the deal with these guys. People like look at them like they're all big, and some of them are just like unhinged. But it's usually the lower level guys that you're talking, like the fat loser, drug dealer, scumbags that are just pieces of
there was a
shit like
couple.
that.
Yeah.
But
That really just drug dealing and stuff. Yeah.
But the guys that are kind of like OGs, and this goes to any sort of I guess black market or underworld type of enclave, is guys that are like really, really in it, like OGs, multi-generational guys. They operate themselves a different kind of way. And also it's like, if you're not in the mix with them, if you just run into them, as long as you're not starting fights or like talking to their girls or something like that, then they ain't gonna fuck with you. Yours, especially La Costa Nostra had this thing: you don't hurt civilians. They viewed themselves as a paramilitary organization. You don't hurt civilians, and unless you're doing something, unless you borrow money from them or you fuck with them or you start shit. Same with the bikers; they're not gonna just come looking for you to fuck with you. They don't go out in the street and open fire on each other. They don't do that shit. It's all business.
Yeah. No, that's for sure. Someone called Pasta Patate, perhaps not ironically, says ethnic cartels and rackets are the way of the future, and I'll find any way I can to buy into that. Yes, I pretty much agree with that.
Yeah, I agree too. I think, I am a big advocate for you. Anybody that's followed Big Dave for any amount of time, I'm like Mafia pilled. The way forward is pure nepotism. That's the way that it works. I grew up with it, right? My mom's family, Italians are nepotistic people. They really, really are, right? They only marry into their own. It wasn't until my mom's generation that they started marrying out. And let me tell you, that did not play well. My pop-up loved me and my brother, even though we were, half German, right? He still loved this.
In his eyes, you were half caste, and
yeah.
Wait, was it really?
And my grandfather on the other side was the same way. Yeah, dude, I felt like growing up, I felt biracial for real. I'm like a mulatto, bub.
Yeah. For the German side is your negligible side. That's hilarious.
Well, it depends who I'm with.
Are they from like northern Italy or southern Italy? Where are they from?
Calabria.
Where's that again? I don't remember.
Calabria is like the very bottom tippy point of the boot. They're all almost Sicilians. They're Sicilians, except they put raisins and everything, and all their food's spicy.
Oh, really? Because
Yeah.
most Italians I know have great respect for Germans, and in fact, like I think of the couple I know, and whenever they say that, they refer to members in their own family if they're from northern Italy as being Germanic, and they'll be even like, "Oh, my father, he actually has green eyes. He's very Germanic," and they'll be all proud of this. But that's
Yeah.
just maybe the couple that I know. I don't know, but
Well, we gotta keep in mind in America, in the Americas, we got this image of the Italian, and we think of the Godfather, and we think of these olive-skinned people or whatever. And I'm not saying anything against the Sicilians or anything like that. Love to the Sicilians, the Sicilianos. But the deal is that Italy was only unified sort of recently, right? And it is a collage of many different sort of like ethnic groups, right? The Northern Italians, like the Lombardians and stuff, are completely different people than the Calabrese, and also the idea that they're all olive people ain't it either. You can, for example, my mother's family that came from Calabria, a lot of them are gingers. You know what I mean?
Right.
So so they got a lot of Germanic blood in them. A lot of people don't realize the Lombards and the Goths conquered all the way down to the tip of the boot, and even made
the Normans conquered Sicily. Anyways, I don't know. What else they conquered down there? Yeah.
Exactly.
And the Vandals conquered too. I love the name the Vandals. Ever since you remember, imagine your whole tribe name ever after is associated with defacing buildings, wrecking stuff, destroying stuff. Yeah, the Vandals. They were just like a normal tribe. They were actually pretty good. They were successful for a while. They took over for a while there, but the beef, I mean, there's so much history there.
The beef in my family was mainly a religious one, right? Because my father's family, who are old blood Pennsylvania German, were Church of the Brethren, which is an Anabaptist sect.
What's that? I don't even know. What's Anabaptist?
Anabaptist. It comes off of the so you had like okay, so there was like the Reformation, right? And then out of that you get a guy named John Fox. He starts the Quakers, and from the Quakers go the Shakers, and eventually there's what's called the Anabaptists. And from the Anabaptists come the Church of the Brethren, the Hutterites, the Amish, and the Mennonites. Right? So my grandfather on my dad's side was Church of the Brethren. Hardcore, old blood, Americaner, German Protestant. Right.
So it's almost like a quasi Mennonite thing, like No, it is
okay. Same exact religion as Mennonites, except they just have different social rules.
Okay.
When it comes to like technology and stuff like that.
More lax, obviously.
Yeah, more lax.
Right.
And then my grandfather being Catholic, a lot of people don't realize this, but Catholicism, like Catholics were viewed as aliens in the United States, in America. They because it was like, you have loyalty to Rome. You don't have loyalty to America. You don't have loyalty to us. You have loyalty to Rome. And then, it's kind of Catholicism from the point of view of American Protestants this is paganism. These guys are polytheists with their spooky woo-woo and their superstitions and their saint worship and all this. It's viewed as weird witchcraft stuff. I'll be honest with you. So they did not like each other.
I live in a country where it's still a big deal, to be honest. It's not, they pretend, or kind of, it's beneath the surface. There's still a major Protestant Catholic thing here. Like, you either are one or the other, and it's very different, and they still kind of hate each other here in Ireland. So you know how it is, right? But
are you in one of the Protestant areas or the Catholic areas?
And the South is all really Catholic. It's only you go to Northern Ireland if you want to live in a Protestant area. But there's little enclaves of Protestant areas, and they're usually quite nice little areas as well. And ostensibly, no one really gives a shit. On the surface, no one's going to complain or do this or that. But if you talk to anybody long enough, especially a lot of the Catholics, there'd be some animosity ongoing, and I don't know. But the Catholics are in this part of the country. The Catholics are dominant, so it's the Protestants who are really more kind of. I wouldn't say they're persecuted, but they're kind of, in my experience, they have to put up with a bit more down here. It's just a touchy thing, and they notice each other, and they get and their differences are so. If you were here, it'd be so hard for you to see and understand the little details of difference between them. but it's such a big deal to both of them. It's just from the history, right?
It's crazy.
And like, there's funny things here. Like, it's funny. Like my father-in-law, if he sees somebody, if he sees, because how can I say it? So the Protestants are basically the progeny of the landed gentry English, and they were very, even to this day, they kind of do have a lot of landowning and would be associated with being a little bit more upper middle class often, right? So there's some kind of rancor over that. And say even my father-in-law, like there'd be Catholic Irish that would be either act or sort of do not try to be, maybe they would convert even or be more Protestant, and he would call them soup takers. He's just like, that guy's a soup taker. And but because that was from back in the day, apparently during the famine, if people, the British would come around with a soup to feed them, but they would have to change their names or something. He told me you'd have to remove the O and the Mac from your name, and you could have the soup. So you were like a big trader kind of thing. Anyway, so this term, he's a soup taker.
A lot of people don't realize the amount of beefs that, like,
oh yeah,
you know, because it was always funny to me because so when my father's family landed here a little bit before 1700, they came here. They're the first German speaking people, right? And their last name was very clearly German. So they landed here, and in order to fit in, they pretended to be Scottish or Scots Irish, right? They pretended to be Scottish. In fact, you can go back. I looked back on the consensus form where, you know, people would write their stuff in, and it would say ethnicity, and he wrote Scottish, and he spelled it with a SCH. So he didn't even know how to spell Scottish.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So because the Germans, when they landed here, first of all, the Anglo people that were here did not like the Germans coming in. They just didn't like them. There's like religious differences. So they, like, when they landed here, when the Pennsylvania Dutch landed here, they like lived in caves and stuff. They had a really rough time. And World War I, when World War I happened, they lived in caves, for real. They lived in caves along the Delaware River, for real,
Really?
for real. Yep.
I didn't know there's a bunch of caves there, is there?
Yep.
That's probably okay.
Yeah. So they lived in caves and all that kind of stuff. And then World War I, you know, well, throughout all of the 1800s, they got sent into mine shafts to go get crushed and die, which is absolutely horrible. Right? I have multiple family members that, like, the only way to go, like, pay respects is go to the mine where they have like a little wood headstone. That's the only place that you can go find them. But after that, they get sent through all the wars. They get put through all kind of shit. And then World War I happens, and they get accused of being Prussian spies and like all kind of shit. They get sent to to labor camps, like prison camps, like disappeared and like all kind of shit. They went through all kind of shit. So my grandfather, my dad's side, knew all the kind of shit that he went through for being a German. And then he goes to my grandfather, who's Italian, and he's like, these fucking Catholics. Like,
so your parents' families hated each other, is it? Did they hate each other?
Yeah. Well, they didn't hate each other. Both my grandparents, they both fought in World War II, so they would sit down and they had like that in common. But other than that, they didn't fuck with each other. Because like my mom's family were just maxed out guineas, right? Laughing and crying and loud talking over each other, getting drunk, getting into fights, and you know, this is how, like, this is WAP shit right here. Let me tell you a little story. So
okay, tell me.
It was I think it was my grandmother's funeral, or maybe my great aunt's funeral. One of the funerals, they hire caterers. The caterers my family gets meatballs. So you have meatballs at every fucking thing, right? It's what's WAPs do, right?
Excellent.
They make meatballs. They put rice in the meatballs. I guess it's some sort of hunky or Polak thing that they do, right? It's some sort of Slavic recipe, I guess, right? So they have rice in the meatballs. My family was so upset about this, it like ruined the whole party.
Why?
I don't know. They were just mad about the rice and the meatballs.
You're Italian.
Next thing you know, my mom throws wine in my aunt's face. Fight breaks out. My Uncle Joe throws another guy onto the fucking table. My Uncle Tony's cursing and swearing, gets into a fight with his wife. Like, it's just like fucking nuts. These guys, they're just fucking out of their minds. So this is how they would act. And then my prim and proper Pennsylvania Dutch Protestant family, who like if you say a swear word, it's like, or if your shirt is untucked or something like that, it's like oh my god, like they're so prim and proper. They don't dance when they listen
so
to
they're
music.
Dutch. They're not German. They're Dutch. Is that right?
Well, yeah. So when the Germans came to America, this was before Dutch was a thing. This is before like German was a thing.
Right.
It was all just kind of the same Germanic sort of thing. So anybody was like Dutch was just a slang word for anybody German or Germanic, right?
Right. Okay.
So when you say Pennsylvania Dutch, they speak a language and they're of an ethnic group that existed before like the Dutch were a thing. Okay. So that's why their language sounds real old timey and weird, because they speak the closest language to Pennsylvania Dutch is Platzdeutsch, is what they call it over there. So yeah, they're like fucking so prim and proper and everything. So they're like looking at these guys like they're fucking animals, and then my mom's family are looking at them like what the fuck's wrong with these people? They're pod people. What, you guys don't dance? You don't do tarantella? You guys don't fucking drink? Like what the fuck's wrong with these guys? So it was weird, dude. And my pop-up told me, he told me when I was a little kid, like I was like his boy, right? I was like his favorite grandson. He had a ton of grandkids.
Is this Italian or German guy?
Italian guy.
Right.
So my grandpa, my German grandpa was kind of hard to, we were a little estranged. He didn't really understand me. I was into heavy metal and all this kind of shit. He didn't really understand. I mean, I love him, bless him, rest in peace, but that's just how it was. But my grandfather told me, he goes, you got a Kraut's brain and an Italian mouth. You're going to have a fucking hard life.
You do. Yeah, you do. That is a good summary of you. Yeah, probably, I think. No?
Yeah. And he was right. That is the reason I have a hard life.
Maybe some Italian passions in there too. I mean, the Krauts can be passionate in their funny little way. But ironically, it's similar on a smaller scale between the Protestants and Catholics here. They would be like, the Protestants are known for being like on time and like a bit more reserved, and the Catholics are all kind of a bit more cheeky and rowdy and stuff. But not to the same level. I know people are totally different, and I know a lot of Italians here, like a good few that have moved here, and yeah, it's funny the difference between them. They don't actually like, they won't drink a lot. You go out with them, they'll just have like 1 or 2 beers kind of thing, and they're like, the Italian Americans are maybe more rowdy. I mean, they do get rowdy and passionate, and they like to fight and wave their arms around, but they wouldn't be big drinkers, and they wouldn't be. I can see what you mean about getting upset about the rice and the meatballs. They're very strict about the food. You can only have pizza on like as like a lunch thing on certain days of the week, and you're supposed to have fish and all this, and there's all these like very strict rules about food. This is why their cuisine is so excellent, obviously, is because they're very strict about, and it's got to be done a certain way. So I can see how they would get upset about the rice thing, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal to them.
Yeah, it's a tradition. Here's something that to respect about the Mediterraneans as a whole. So a little while back, somebody shared a video of this guy playing a prank in Naples, and he was delivering pizza with pineapple on it. And the people in Naples got so fucking, some of them like started attacking him, like flipped out. What the fuck? Going like all of them either flipped out, slammed the door on their face, and a couple people like straight up just got into a fight with them, squared up.
And it's not a joke. I'm sure they would be like really, really pissed off. Like
exactly,
I believe it. Yeah.
And I'm like, why we make this is like culinary tradition is like an expression of the folk soul. It's a very meaningful part of who you are. It's your connection to the land and to history and your ancestors. It's like a big deal. Like why? Yeah. Dude, let me tell you, I get mad about food. If you're from somewhere else, you come to my face and you tell me my regional staples suck, I am actually going to get mad at you, because they might suck, but you don't get to fucking say that.
Yeah, fuck you. Have you been to Italy? Have you gone to Italy?
I have not. I have not been to Europe at all.
Well, listen, I mean, in terms of food, holy shit, you will eat things like fucking. The wife and I actually were talking about today. We were in this place, San Gimignano, in Tuscany. This has been years since we were there, but like, holy shit! We were talking about the food we had. We ate something today. It reminded us of this food we had, and like, it's unbelievable. You'll remember it the rest of your life. Some of the dishes you will just have. They're like things. Remember eating this wild boar ravioli and stuff, and like they would just even put out like plates of fruit, and you have it with cheese and honey and stuff, and like just wine and like simple things, but like it would still somehow taste like the best thing you ever had. I don't know how they do it, but it is they're very strict about it, and that's why it is good because they're strict not only about what you are supposed to eat and when or whatever, but like the produce itself has to be like the best and like fresh and everything else, right? So they have all these rules about it, and it's fucking excellent. And they're so creative about it. Like things, as if you think you know what is in the range of food you can get, I don't think you do. I mean, maybe you would know better than me, but like I would be eating things all the time. So I never expected to eat or knew what it was. And every time it's like, oh, this is the best thing I ever had. How about that? Again, every day that goes by is like fuck. But
Yeah,
and the best
I want
wine
to.
I ever had.
I want to go see. It's on my bucket list. I want to go see Europe. I want to go. I want to go see Germany. I want to go see. I want to go to Italy. I want to. Dude, I just want to see it. I want to go to Sweden and see the rune stones. I want to go to England. I want to have one of them fucking meat pies that they have and see the castles. And I want to see all that shit.
Well, let's be honest. The cuisine and the English are good at a lot of things, but cuisine is. I mean, they can do like obviously fancy food now. People are going to actually shit on me for saying that, but I mean, let's be fucking real as to who has proper traditions in cuisine. It wasn't the Anglos. I mean, they're fine, and it's they can do a good job, and it's comfort food. It's the same shit as you get in Ireland, but you cannot compare it to France or Italy or well, basically those two, anyways. That like those two have a culture of food that was fucking beyond anything. Like France as well. You go there, and you'll be eating. I mean, anywhere you go, you can buy. It's just it'll just blow your mind. Generally, it's going a little downhill lately. I was in Paris there, as you know, at the beginning of the summer, and it was not as good as when I was there before. But like, so I'm actually doing what you said you shouldn't do, which is shit on people's. I mean, I'm a fucking Anglo myself, though. I know when fucking someone has a tradition of high cuisine and when they don't, right? It's even in fucking Casanova. Like if you read, I didn't read the works of Casanova. I remember there was an excellent BBC production from the old days in the 70s of his life. And at some point he says, even back then, he's like, it's like he was mocking someone having a German as a, what was it, as an art. He's talking about an aristocrat. He's like, and he had a German who was I think he was in charge of his house or his art collection or something like that. He's like, this is stupid. It's like having a woman from England as a chef. So this was known. Like when was the age of Casanova? Like fucking 17th century or something. I don't know. It's been known for centuries that the English are very good at many things, and they are. I mean, fucking the Anglos you can't actually put down for. I mean, they basically conquered the world for fuck's sakes. The first one since Rome to really have an empire. So you got to respect them for that. You look at the list of inventions of the modern age. How many British people are in there? More than Germans, I think. You got to respect them for that. But that said, you do not have to respect them for their fucking menu, which is fine. I mean, it's okay.
It's
it's
good.
Not fucking,
it's humble.
It's not humble. Even. I would list my favorite. I've done this before. My favorite world cuisines would be. I'd have to say French first. French, then Italian, and then a tie between Mexican and Japanese. I think.
Oh, get out
of here!
Like
that? You don't like that?
No.
I thought that was fair.
Mexican
I thought it was
food is
fair.
okay, but Mexican food
proper
is
Mexican food
crap.
is good.
No, it's crap.
Yeah, well, yeah, it can be crap, but
it's the same 5 ingredients over and over again.
So, what would you say then?
Oh, top cuisines.
Yeah, top 4 or 5.
The top. Well, I would say the top 3 obviously are Italian, French, and German in that order, and that's just objective. Yes. And then
Germany just eat a lot of cheese and sausage, and which is good.
Well, they have a lot of techniques as far as how they cure their meats and smoke their meats and different types of sausages, and they have a lot of pastries. Their desserts are fantastic. Everybody around the world has copied them.
Yeah, they do have a lot of that kind of thing. Yeah.
Like the Danes are known for their desserts, right? They copied it from Germans.
Did they? Okay, right.
The croissant is a German invention.
Is it?
The Germans are the kings of desserts, believe it or not, right?
Solar Temple says objective. I don't even know what he's talking about. What a great statement. In capital letters, objective. He's talking about the objective truth of it. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about German. I mean, what about, I do have to give a handout to the lesser nations. My Japanese, my Mexican thing, but I do like Mexican food and like good proper Mexican and good proper Japanese. It's pretty Japanese, especially, is very unique. You have to add it to them. Like Jesus Christ, what a unique cuisine that is, and highly specialized and weird and pretty
Yeah.
good overall. No,
Japanese food, especially us as Westerners, really appreciate Japanese food because it's how simple it is. It's simple, it's elegant, it's about freshness and ingredients, and it doesn't try to do a whole lot. It's just brevity on a plate, and that's why we like it. Because what do we like? Just about all cuisine is modeled, especially modern cuisine is just is like Escoffier influenced.
hey,
So
you were actually a chef, weren't you, at one point? Were you
yeah,
not? No,
yeah,
you
I
weren't.
was.
So you really know this. What did you specialize in? One anything like, or just like typical
Um,
Anglo, or
so I do a lot of, I like to say that I do Pennsylvania Dutch food
Oh yeah,
because Pennsylvania Dutch food is
you
it's
love all this Pennsylvania stuff. All your your what's that fucking music with the what's it called, polka and
polka.
stuff? Yeah,
Yep.
you love
Hell
all that
yeah.
stuff, man.
I love it, dude. I'm born and bred, dude. I'm like, my lineage is here for like 300 years.
Yeah, well,
I'm a
shit, yeah.
Pennsylvanian longer than America was. My family's been here forever.
Nice. That
So
is
I
cool
love
though,
that
man.
shit. Yeah,
Well,
I
that is
love
cool,
it.
yeah. But like, yeah, that is. I mean, I don't have that same kind of roots because I was like, I mean, I do in a way. I feel kind of uprooted and not as. I obviously don't live in my homeland right now, where I grew up. So that's always kind of weird. Where I've always like, I'm sort of an expat, right? So I don't, and I've had to be for a long time. And Canada is such a weird place to grow up, where it's even more. My parents weren't even from there, so my parents moved there, and I grew up there. So my connection was very. I didn't really have family there other than my parents. So I had a weird kind of disconnect from. I mean, I do have. I did always had my family over here, so it was weird for me. But I do feel very connected to the place where I grew up. It's just like a small town of the Rockies, and just like your Anglo Canadian small town, but just the beauty of the place, and the nature and stuff. I just remember I'll always be from there. I'm just like a person from there, wherever you spend your formative years. But that's great. You have that long-standing genealogical connection to Pennsylvania, of all
Yeah.
places. But what do your Italian? Do they know about your religious activities these days? And what do they think about all that? I think I asked you this before, but I don't remember what the answer is.
So most of my family on both sides is my family is very much like most families are nowadays. Are pretty estranged and a lot of infighting and it's just after my grandparents died, everybody started descending into fights and having grudges, and so
No shit.
I don't talk to nobody really. They
No
don't
shit.
they don't
No.
talk to each other really. Like
Yeah.
I talk to my brothers a little bit.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have. I love my family, but we just don't really fuck with each other too much, unfortunately. But they know, they know. My grandfathers, if they were still alive, they would not understand it, right? They would probably both be they would feel strange about it, which is because they like viewed each other the same way, which would have been pretty weird. But it's
The Protestant one would be really a bit more upset about it, probably, right?
no,
Yeah.
it's hard to say. It's my but what I did inherit from them was religiosity, because regardless of what their religions were, both of my grandfathers were very, very pious men, very pious men. My grandfather on my dad's side, he was a deacon. He at his church, he was like a self-taught theologian. He studied philosophy, like everything. He was really a brilliant man, really a brilliant man.
Mm.
My On my mom's side, my grandfather was not quite studious, but he went to church twice a week, every week, never missed mass, said his prayers. He was actually, now that I look back, was very pagan in the way that he was. He
Okay.
had little prayers that he said before he would do certain things. He was very superstitious. He would put blankets over mirrors because he thought demons could come through them. And
This is
he
the
was,
Italian guy, is it?
yeah, he was very, very
Yeah.
superstitious,
See,
very
Catholics are like
pious.
that. Catholics are like that, and most Irish people are like that too. And it's really very pagan. Yeah, it is. Ultimately, they are. They just don't like. It's a pagan in every way, but in the names. But
Yeah.
otherwise, yes, it is like that. Yeah, and the Italians too. And they like some of the Italians I know here. This one is he's always telling me his fucking poltergeist story. That is weird. He was hooking up with some girl in a hotel, and some force moved through the room and knocked all this shit off the walls and all this. They've always got some like story like this,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just it's much more pagan to be Catholic. And so I was raised Catholic, so being pagan is not difficult, even though I'm still not fully sure what to call myself one way or the other. Just the other night, I had like a long conversation with somebody who was Christian but sympathetic and like agreed that with me, you don't agree probably, but that pagans and Christians find a way to come together and sort of evolve together or something like that. And she was Christian, so that was unusual because mostly they get kind of upset or angry and don't, just like no, fuck you, like you know. So whatever, but it is being Catholic is a good step closer to being pagan than being Protestant. Certainly, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. The way that I see it is, I went through my early phases when I first reverted to the ancestral folk ways,
Right.
where I was like kind of reactionary to Christianity, just because I grew up in a very Protestant kind of area that was, my grandmother was like freaked out that Pokemon was going to introduce Satan to little kids.
Oh,
Like
this kind of thing. Yeah,
yeah,
fuck.
she was like
That's when it gets stupid. Yeah,
she
I
was
mean,
a longhouse church lady,
or the
right?
Smurfs. They used to hate the Smurfs. You remember this? I mean, you're
Yeah.
probably not. You're not. I'm older than you. I remember there was a big thing with the Born-Agains and the Baptists when I was a kid. Was the Smurfs were demons and all this kind of shit. Like,
And the Teletubbies. I don't know if you remember that. They had us freak out
yeah,
about
that was
the
demonic
Teletubbies.
too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That kind of shit. I remember. I actually told the story the other day on one of my stupid channels or whatever. I loaned my Lord of the Rings books, like an old copy too, like a nice old kind of vintage one that'd be worth money now, probably, to my friend of mine in school, and his dad was born again, and his dad burned them. Lord of the
What?
Rings. Yeah, fucking devil's work. For I guess because it had the lore. The lore. He didn't know what it was. I guess he's so fucking stupid. They weren't geniuses. This family. I remember that. I mean, they were nice. And if I saw the guy now, we'd be pals actually, because I don't live in Canada anymore. I never see him. But he was never a genius, to be honest. And his parents were not geniuses. And you go over to their house for dinner and stuff, and his dad would be like, he'd literally Bible thumping, like slamming his hand on the table, like, you realize your soul is going to go to hell and for fucking, like, I don't know. But just like, they were kind of dumb because you talk about other things and they wouldn't know about a lot of stuff. So he didn't know what Lord of the Rings was, and he burned the books. Yes. And it's the funny thing is, I asked this pal of mine later when the movies became popular, has your dad seen the movies? What does he think? And he said he has, yeah, and he likes them. So whatever the fuck was going on back in the day, he burned my book, son of a bitch. Fucking born again piece of shit.
What's funny about that?
What?
My grandfather, my maternal grandfather, I spent a lot of time with him because when I was little, my little brother had some sort of ailment, and he had to go to the hospital a lot. So, I got left with my grandparents a lot, my maternal grandparents. My pop, the first book that he learned, because he came over to America when he was a little kid, right? And he didn't, he learned English as a little kid. The first book that he read all by himself was The Hobbit, right?
Oh, really?
He loved this book, and he read it to me when I was a little kid, and that like shaped my whole shit. That's like still that influences who I am to this day. My
Yeah, that was
pop
the first book
reading
I
me
ever
The
read.
Hobbit.
That's the first book I ever read was The Hobbit. Yeah, like a real book. Not a kiddie book.
Yeah, it
it's
was.
only a huge influence.
I loved it. I adore my papa. Like loved that kind of stuff. He like. Here's the thing: is so both of my grandparents, they wouldn't understand the pagan thing. Maybe if I like explained it to them and stood up to them, like yo, like they would probably like
Yo,
they would have to they'd have to deal with it, right? But
right?
as far as like my literary ventures here, they would
Mm-hmm.
both be very proud of that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Both of my grandparents were very, very big into reading and learning. And my maternal grandfather was more artsy, right? He was a painter and an artist, and he played guitar and he sang. He's actually a pretty good singer. right? He used to sing the old folk songs and stuff. But he was into fantasy and science fiction, and he really liked fiction, right? And then my paternal grandfather was really big into big brain stuff. I have some of his books, right? He had let me see. I'm going to have to rip the whole place. I have some of his books just floating around. He had Marcus Aurelius Meditations. He had Euthyphro
That was
Dilemma.
that was one of the best. You've read Meditations, have you?
Yeah.
I remember reading that. I read it most of it on a plane. I was with the wife. I think we were flying to Canada or something. This is many years ago, and I remember just stopping and like being so amazed by it. I had to every couple of pages like, look at this. You got to read this line right here. And like, of course, she didn't give a shit about any of it. But I was like, I was literally stopping every few moments, like, holy God, this is so amazing. I can't fucking believe. I remember being so amazed and forever respecting Marcus Aurelius to an extreme degree from when I read his little book of his meditations.
It's a really now. So looking back, there's some. There's some philosophical critiques I have with Stoicism as a whole, but Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius. Here's the deal: is that you just can't fuck with the greats. And Marcus Aurelius was like one of the smartest, most noble, awesome dudes to ever breathe air. So, who am I to
well, he was emperor of the known world at the time of his writing that.
During the greatest time.
Yeah, as I talk about achievement levels, like holy shit. Like, and then he's the emperor and doing whatever he's doing, but as well, he's like this incredible scholar, and his thoughts are like every couple lines you have to stop and think, holy fuck, like just ingest it and think that's so amazing. That's actually part of what I was saying in that conversation. I don't actually want to bring this up now because I don't want to be getting into anti-Christian stuff. So I won't actually say it. Actually, never mind.
Yeah,
but I just the fact that it was more the overall point is like you don't get that kind of feeling when you read the Bible. Let's say, generally speaking, you know what I mean. Like where every couple of lines you're like, holy fuck, I can't believe what's going on. Like, it just doesn't happen. But anyways, I don't want to do that. I don't want to.
Let's talk about what we're supposed to talk. We've been yakking for an hour. We haven't even hit any more topics. Let's do some topics. Yeah.
Oh shit. What were they? Yeah, the topics. The topics. Oh, we were talking about publishing and stuff, and the scene. How are we doing? How's the world going out there? With are we fucking defeating Big Pub yet, or what?
Well, it's gonna take a while for something like that. Like these, we got to keep in mind that the institutions that we're beefing with, that we're going up against, have huge amounts of money behind them. They're propped up. They're not staying afloat by their profits, let's say, right?
Yeah.
I know the ESG money is a big thing. These guys are getting their ESG bucks, their welfare bucks from old BlackRock and all that, but they're not selling books. Man, they can get propped up and get free money all day long, but the end of the day is they're not selling books. I did a sale yesterday, and in my sale, even at very reduced profit margins, I made more in one day in profits than one of the bottom level authors from, I don't know, Penguin Random House does it in an entire month.
How did you organize? How do you do that sale, by the way? Did you move into the stage where you're printing the books yourself somewhere or no?
No, we're getting them printed elsewhere.
Oh, you are?
Mm-hmm.
But you're still on Amazon as well, are you? Or no?
Yeah, we're still using Amazon. So we do shipping to the United States. We're about to open up Canada pretty soon, but we ship to the United States, and then we just use Amazon for the rest of the world. Because it's like, I just can't. I know that the guys out there that are across the ocean are so awesome, and then they would buy books and pay for the shipping. But from my end, I can't in good conscience let you pay $30 frickin' for a $10 book.
Yeah,
it's just not fair. That's not fair. So just buy it from Scamazon.
Yeah. I've never tried to move off Amazon. So that your wholesale was based on books that you were printing yourself.
Yeah. Well, I didn't print them, but they got done from a printing house. Yeah.
Right. And you managed to? Do you sell them at the same price when you do? I'm just.
Yes, I match. Yeah, I match the Amazon price. And but during a sale, I knock it down. Like right now, I got books on there. I think one of my books is like $6.99. We got some really, really good prices over there right now. Sale's still going for any of you guys that want to pop over there at thebazaarchives.com.
Yeah,
It's
head over there. Yeah,
it's good.
you got to buy that. You got to buy the Bazaar Archives.
It's going to be over in a week. So
Is it? Okay.
go buy
Right.
some books if you're in the US of A.
Yeah, you got to buy the Bazaar Archives. So, and I was talking to a couple of guys actually, because since I've been doing these, since I have this free time and I'm doing these streams, so I got on Eric Wag and
Very cool.
shit, who else was I talking to about this? Oh fuck, I forget his name. He's gonna be pissed off now. Anyways, there was a couple guys. I'm gonna have to say that because I love to look back. Sorry.
You had the Kursova guy on. You had P.
Yeah,
Alexander.
no. Since then, and there's going to be a couple more of those guys as well. I'm just going to talk to them and like talk about, because mostly I want to talk to them about what do they think about. Like, I think, I believe that any successful business must have a dedicated sales person or team.
Mm.
And I know you like to do that yourself, but you're like, oh, you really are you're the chief and you're the editor and everything else. You can't be doing it all. You're not actually devoted to sales. You do a good job. You do a great job at sales.
Well, thank you.
I do think we need, all of us could collectively find some people or, hire, or you don't even have to hire them. You just give them a percentage of whatever they can do. Right.
Yeah.
Somebody who's an expert in this kind of online marketing stuff and other stuff to just promote and just take a cut, do the Google ads or the fucking Amazon ads or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and this is something I've been, that I've been saying to, me and you've been talking about it. I've mentioned it to some of the other pulp bros. And here's the deal is that it's cool what we have. I'm very proud of everybody, right? I'm very proud of what we've done so far is really great. But I think that we have the potential collectively to go to the next level and really morph into something that is legitimately a large force, like Mecha Godzilla to fucking come fight Godzilla. Like we could be the King Kong that pulls up. So
yeah, we would be. There's nobody else. It would be us. Yeah. In terms of that kind of the genre we're working in, genres.
Yeah.
It would be us. Yeah.
Especially with how diverse we are with our skill sets and the type of stuff that we do. I know I'm kind of the crazy guy that's all over the place making games and movies and records and all this kind of stuff. But I know you're in the mix too with making all this kind of different stuff. There's so many other dudes that are doing comic books and doing. We're not just doing pulp, we're doing comics, we're doing video games, we're doing music, we're doing XYZ. We got all kind of stuff coming out, and if we could find a way to centralize our power, centralize our talents, and really kind of do it, we could really, really make a splash. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were saying that before. So did you advance any further on that idea, or?
Yeah. So right now it's just still in talks. I'm good at coming up with these ideas, but as far as actually doing the administrative sides of things, that's just not my skill set. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm looking for people that we can trust, that we can get in. I got a couple of guys that have been helping me out with different things and giving me advice and XYZ. I have a young lady, a couple of young ladies I've been talking to you about their accountants. So maybe we could, I don't know, we'll see what happens. I don't want to divulge too much, but someday in the future, you might see a big pulp merger, Pulp Giant coming out, an entertainment empire that is so big it can't be ignored. And when it's set, when it makes a step, the earth shakes.
Nice. Well, I mean, it's got to be, for that to happen, though, as far as I can see, it's got to be a major advertising kind of fucking leap forward, right? So, I don't know. So, if you want to keep it quiet, we can't really, I guess, discuss it so much. Maybe if you have a plan in that regard, but yeah.
So, if you're listening, I know I saw Mr. Eric Wag in the chat earlier.
Yeah, he was there.
And any sort of other pulp brothers that are listening. Here's the deal: is that we are producing literature now that is just like the stuff back in the day. we need to hit those physical spaces once again, and not frickin' bookstores. Fuck bookstores. Let them burn.
They're gone. They're already. It's over for them. Yeah.
It's over for them. They stock their stuff with crap. Nobody wants it. It's literally just a hangout spot for like
fucking my two dads and shit. It's fucking
it's a place where latte sipping cat ladies go and hang out, right? And they never buy anything. They just go in and drink coffee and walk around and try to pretend like they're smart. Right? It's what we need to hit is the I guess I don't know what the word is for it, but the commuting, somewhat intelligent person that would still be into reading, but just doesn't know that there's still good books out there. So we need
commuting, somewhat intelligent. It's true, but it's hilarious.
Yeah, the guys that are on planes a lot. The guys that ride.
Yeah. Somewhat intelligent enough.
Yeah,
and they're traveling to work or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How do we reach them? What do they? What do they look at? I don't know.
We got to hit
some stupid podcast, probably some much larger podcast than this, or some. Is that what they look at? What do people look at these days? I don't know.
So I'll tell you what they are looking at are the magazine racks at the train station and the plane station and all of these places. They are looking at the racks that are at the gas station and the truck stop, right? Mm-hmm. Some of my biggest customers are guys like truck drivers and on the road skilled workers and people like this, people that do a lot of reading. One of my biggest customers that buys every single book that I drop is actually a lawyer, and he travels around the world. He's got to get on. He's like, he's got to ride in coach all the time because his firm is not very big. He probably makes good money, right? Because you're a lawyer, but he's not like a big shot or nothing like that, right? So he's got to go all over the country, and he's always on a plane sitting there. So he loves reading Bizarchives. He sends me pictures. He sends me pictures of him reading Bizarchives, where he's stuck in the coach between two fat black ladies, right? So this is like he goes, he sends me a picture one time. He goes, they're spilling into my lap. It shows he's like these fat ladies with they're fat, like creeping into to his seat. He's like scrunched in there with a copy of The Horror Beneath, one of our books. So guys like him are who we need to hit. And there's a lot of those guys. So we need to get in those physical spaces. Now, those distribution companies like Diamond Distribution, et cetera, are kind of like on the downswing. They themselves have lost a lot of these physical spaces that don't even stock books really anymore. What I have tried to do, and I've actually had a little bit of success with this, is literally call these places physically and be like, I got some books for you. Now, some of this I haven't had one pay me yet, but I had one place that I stocked them with like about 10, 12 books, and they put it on one of their little racks. And I called them back a couple months later, and they sold out. They completely sold out of them. So I was like, "Hey,
really?
would you like?
You really? Yeah.
Would you like to buy some more?" And they're, "Oh, well, let me get the manager to call you." And the manager never called me. I called back. I couldn't get a hold of the manager. Blah blah. But that shows that it works.
Oh yeah.
So we need somebody that's dedicated, that has some sort of job or knowledge or know-how on how to hit these types of places in mass.
Exactly.
These places set up with books.
Yeah, a proper salesman, a proper sales guy that just has this angle. Yeah, exactly. I agree.
And not like me. I'm just like a fucking hustler, right? I'm just a guy that's, I'm good at selling stuff with my voice. We need
we got another super chat from Solar Temple. He says Circova, but how do you say it? Is it Cursova? Cursova. Yeah, Cursova, but it's archives in Aegeon and every Loves magazine rack in America. And so it's not a question, but yes, excellent. Of course, obviously that should be the case. Imagine to have your choice of you've got fantasy, horror, and sci-fi right there at your fingertips. And for the commuter, exactly. And no shit. Yeah, I mean, what a joy it would be for those commuters as well.
Yeah, especially if we could get a really affordable way of publishing, that we could get our price points down pretty low. Dude, if we could get our price points down to $9-10, under $10, like say like
what do you mean? They are $10, aren't they? What do you mean? Price points?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Right. Yeah.
Like, so some of my books I'm having to get the newest Bizarre Archives is $15. I have to sell
Is
it
it?
for.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Right.
Yeah, the prices of publishing have gone up over the last year across the board. So I have to charge a little bit more money. Plus, our costs are more expensive now, and we're paying artists, and we just we couldn't afford to keep it at $10 anymore.
All right.
So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so our other books, our novellas are still $10. But
Yeah.
if
So
we could
you'd like to get the new ones down to $10 though. Is that what you're saying?
yeah,
As well.
that's what I would
Yeah.
like.
You
Yeah.
would. Yeah. 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 It seems a fair price. I mean, more than fair. For fuck's sake, we're extremely fair and generous.
Yeah.
For everything that goes into, and like some of the shit you would buy for like twice the price in this inflationary life that we live or whatever.
Yeah, go to fucking Books a Million or whatever. Try to find a book for $10.
Yeah,
Let me
exactly.
know.
And what kind of fucking chicklit bullshit will you be reading? Like just fucking garbage, really.
Exactly.
Fucking garbage. So that actually, there's another point that I wanted to talk about, because this would be an exciting topic for a stream, even though we should not go into extreme details of any kind. Remember, I sent you. I just thought we should talk about the people that hate us and why they hate us, or speculating as to what we can only speculate, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say? Because I have certain types that it's probably the same type for both of us. Not exactly though, but like say there are certain ones that are mutual, and like what's your experience? Who hates you? And not don't tell their names. Just say what type of person hates you and for what apparent reason.
So obviously there's some salty leftoids out there that don't like.
Yeah.
There's a couple of folks out there that hate watch me. Apparently, they watch my Telegram and Twitter feed and take screen caps and put it into their sniveling hives where they can all cackle and snarl like
You've seen this, haven't you?
People have sent me screenshots of it. So they got like some of the people in their hives are like fans of mine. So they fucking I'm like, all right, dude. I appreciate you or whatever, but who cares? Fuck them. They can do it. I've had some haters sneak up, libtards that got a wind of what we're doing, and they came in, left shitty and what's funny about these people is how dishonest they are. They really are. They always pretend like they were a fan, but now they're not, or they like what we're doing, but here's everything that's wrong with it. And I could tell that it's fugazi because they'll go and they'll leave like the same comment on like 5 different things. They'll like leave a nasty comment on Amazon, on Goodreads, on this, on that. Dude, Goodreads is completely, dude, guys, just ignore reviews on Goodreads. Goodreads is just like a hive of people that are just like, this is the thing with these people, right? Their identity is based on this idea that they're smarter than everybody. It's the eternal Dunning-Kruger midwit, right? They get horned up about being smarter and knowing better than everybody, and they have the eternal nerd thing about them where they just love to critique and they love to criticize and talk down to people and all this kind of shit. So if you have one blemish in your book, they will go on and leave you 3 stars and leave you 4 fucking paragraphs talking about it.
All right. 3 stars. You're wanting about a 3-star review. Like that's still not bad. But I know what you mean.
Yeah. That's how they do it, because they're trying to be sneaky, but they're not. They're pieces of shit.
You're angry at the people that have only left you 3 stars instead of 4. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, 5. Yeah, I don't.
5. Is it 5? Oh, shit,
yeah. If you leave me 3 or less stars, I don't like you, and we're not.
One guy went through recently, and you know what? Okay, so this touches on nicely on the topic of people that hate us and why they hate us. But like, it's just basically beefs from like personal people that want a do, or I mean, there's leftoids fine. I don't. There was a lot of them on my first book, on the book about art, but they quickly were washed away by favorable reviews and things. I didn't even have to look at them, most of them anyways. There was a certain libertarian type people that kind of hated it because I mentioned various folksy kind of things, and they didn't like any talk of Julius Evola or anything like that, or I don't know, whatever. But in the Aegeon, the only bad reviews I have are basically from someone recently went on and made some bad reviews, one after the other, saying I'm an elitist on social media or something like that. So it's obviously someone that I was kicked out of one of my accounts recently and basically bought the book just to write a complaint and like just be pissy and stupid. So yeah, as far as reviews, like bad reviews, it's just so obviously there's no bad reviews except from people that want to attack you. And yeah, just like you said, there's above a 3-star review, I wouldn't actually bitch anyone out over. If they really think they have an opinion and you should do this better and that better, that's fine. I don't care that much. But when someone says like 1 star and like fuck you, you're elitist, and it's like, oh, you fucking spaz, you little piece of shit, you little cocksucker. But what other types? There's mutual enemies we have in the realm of well, how can we touch on this? Dare I touch on it? It's just going to make them more angry, I guess, if we talk about it. But we should, because why not? In the fucking son of a bitch, fucking what are they called? Racist feminists and that.
Oh my god!
Did I start that off? Is it to do with me? Did they get so angry with me that it flooded over and they got angry with you?
Yeah, they started raiding me just because me and you are boys. So they're like, fuck it. It just like spilled over onto me. Like, here's the thing: is that these people are clowns. They're some of the most. It's like it just makes no sense. The entirety of their little meme ideology is just retarded, and they just reach and lie and spurg, and they're just emotional and unhinged. And here's the deal: they're either feds, they're trannies, or they're some kind, or they're just like completely unhinged white trash, like low IQ degenerate weirdos. Probably. So here's probably what a lot of people, creatures like this are. Is they're usually not very intelligent. They come from very, very low class backgrounds. And I'm not talking bad about people that come from working class I come from a working class background. But here's the fact of the matter is, if you're like me and you come from that background, you know that there are people that are from your demographic that are more, I guess you could say, dysgenic, right? They have bad personality traits. They have low time preference, or what is it? High time preference, which the bad time preference, right? They're just like this. And unfortunately, a lot of times women that behave this really unhinged way are victims of childhood abuse, right? So they turn everything into, they like politicize and turn it into an ideology, right? And I'm sorry that happened to them, right? I would never in a million years. People that abuse children deserve death, period. 100%.
They do. But worse than death. They deserve the gibbet. The gibbet.
And there's part of. Go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, just the gibbet where they hang them in a cage until they slowly die of starvation and dehydration, and then they leave the body hanging for like years, right?
That's put it on display. Let everybody see it. So this is what happens
in the sky where you look at them and they're slowly dying, and then their corpses hanging there for years and years. If that's what you do, that's where you go.
That's where you
go. That's what they deserve. Yeah, pedos and that. Yeah, for sure. This whole fucking, I mean, that's a whole other thing we could talk about. We don't want to talk about that. Did you ever publish that rap song where you were like?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay, never mind. Okay, I thought you did. I didn't know that. Okay, so we should, so we shouldn't get into anything specific about it. But there's other enemies we have, or at least I have, because I'm on the topic of sci-fi. I have these enemies now with the fucking flat earthers, and I hope you're not a moon landing denier, are you?
A moon landing denier? I don't think. Here's the deal with the moon landing. I change what my position is on it depending on who I'm with, just to get them riled up, because I know people get. So if I'm with somebody that thinks it was like filmed, I'll say it's real, and if I'm with somebody that's like firm that it's real, I'll say it was filmed.
Okay, this is where I've now drawn the line, though. I believe it's real, and I will not tolerate people that say it was not, and those fuckers caused me a lot of hassle too. Sons of bitches, they caused me a lot of hassle, those fuckers.
Yeah.
They joined in with the flat earthers and they fucking ganged up on me with their bullshit.
That's
so
such a
fuck all
bizarre
those
bizarre gaggle of But no,
It seems to me pretty real. Whenever I see footage or anything related to it, I never found their evidence compelling that it was fake. Nothing really. I never saw anything particularly compelling myself. So
that's
I always thought it was real. But I mean, I was always sympathetic to the view that it wasn't real until now. And now I must draw the line. This is what happens. This is silly shit, isn't it? There's always something that comes along, Russia or something, or, something that just like bifurcates everybody and everything. Like it's always going to happen. It's like, okay, so now we're enemies, and we were otherwise agreeing. Remember, there was one kid followed me for years. But it turned out he was an incel, and I actually was trying to help him. I was like saying, you shouldn't be an incel. This is all fucking stupid. Like, you can't be doing that shit. And I was like trying to talk him out of it, and he got all angry, and he like really attacked me badly, like, doing his best to insult and attack me, until I was like just blocked him everyone, like, fuck you. But so silly the ways in which you can suddenly find yourself at odds with people that maybe shouldn't be at odds, but that's life, that's nature, as we know, as I guess pagans, we must say, and pagans and people that observers of nature. That is, we must hope that nothing ever happens to say between you and I don't think there can be, because when you're bros we already have differences. We already agree to understand each other's differences and be bros, right? That's what you have to do. That's the way it goes. If you have to make this distinction. It's important.
It's like, so I have the online thing where you like tear apart acquaintances or friendships over like very minor. Dude, I have friends that believe like the most kooky shit, right? That the aliens built the pyramids, that space isn't real. I have friends that believe like really weird shit, right? And I just laugh. I don't give a fuck. I mean, say you're wrong and we'll fucking debate or whatever. But we start drinking, I laugh at them and like fucking we debate it. Who gives a fuck? Like, for real, like,
yeah.
I just don't care. I have friends that are of different religious stuff, and as long as they're not like coming in to like my space and trying to change it or force it, like, you're a Platonist and I'm like an Orthodox heathen, and I'm pretty critical of Platonic ideas in heathenry, but I just don't give a fuck that you're a Platonist. Like, you can be a Platonist. I respect that. If that's what it is, that's what it is. I've had beefs with Platonists. Like there's like a contingency of Platonists online that are horrible people, like the worst people I've dealt with, right?
Okay.
Terrible, very obnoxious. But I have friends that are Platonists, and I know that's not always how it is. You know what I mean? It was just that niche little hive is like that. But I'll tell you what, it's hilarious to me that you your presence is so sinister that you have forced flat earthers and like racist feminists
to join forces against me.
You're their Dr. Doom, bro.
Well, I mean, I know I mean, every now and again I make a little proclamation about women or feminists, and it sounds harsh, and I agree, but it's like something it's usually something through the course of the day, and I'm like, oh, fuck this, like, and I'll make a little, like, I feel like I've made I will always feel like I made a true statement, a true observation, and it's got me in hot water with them. But I mean, flat earthers, that's fucking stupid. I mean, let's face it. I mean, that's
so
mentally retarded. Okay.
You make but what you put out there, first of all, you're very openly saying this is like guy entertainment. This is guy stuff. And it's nothing even. It's something you would see in like an 80s bro stag magazine. You know what I mean? Like sexy ladies and jokes about women. Like, it's not anything more extreme that you would see on like fucking Home Improvement in the 90s. Remember that show?
Yeah.
It's like,
I wouldn't think so. Yeah, it wasn't really. No,
you don't say.
Or stand up even from the 2000. Stand up from fucking 2010. You could see some of the things I might have said.
It's not that big of a. It's like. No. It's very milquetoast to me. And I'm not saying it is a little, you get a little edgy sometimes, a little spicy, but big fucking deal. Like, I don't know. He has some horn dog jokes, and he posts sexy ladies. Big fucking deal.
Well, I'm posting more sexy ladies than ever on the Telegram ever since the fuckers got me Got me app banned. I was like, fuck you, like sons of bitches. Fucking
Aria's bushcraft or whatever.
yeah. It's so ridiculous. But then, see that? Oh, that actually demonstrates my other enemy online for ages. Before all this happened, was the people that would freak out about like the chicks in bikinis or the nude or the semi nudes or the news or whatever. Like people would fucking he'd be like, "You fucking coomer, you're fuck you," like
Oh my
angry as
God.
hell about it.
It's a moral.
Angry. I just didn't understand that. So every time they did that, it would just make me worse. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to post more of that, more of that.
Yeah.
Like, fuck
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah.
Here's the deal: is like that. First of all, it's very feminine. It's very feminine. This like I used to identify as a traditionalist, right, as a trad guy, because I have I believe a traditional Weltanschauung that has a tradition, but this incarnation of what guys call trad these days, these like statue mourner, uh, moral policing, church lady, longhouse soy boys, these like dickless guys that get mad anytime a lady is whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like, look, there's guys out there because of religious reasons that makes them uncomfortable or whatever. I'm not talking shit on them, right? If that's how it is, whatever. But don't come at me or Brendan who do art and aesthetics and post beautiful, tasteful things. Well, sometimes my stuff is kind of, I've books where there's illustrations of like monsters that have goat heads and their tits. There's like 3 tits and like weird shit, right? There's some kind of raunchy stuff.
Yeah, you can't be involved in pulps without being a little bit sexy and a little bit,
A little raunchy. It's all right.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, that's the whole fucking thing. I mean, it's not the whole thing, but I don't know. There too. I never understood where they were coming from or what there was a whole contingent. There was like an onslaught of like it was a huge attack. I can tell you. Say the first time I ever got attacked in such a way was on Twitter years ago when I said, what did I say? I made a tweet saying, it's one of the first times, anyways, that I got like a mass swarm of attacks. And I said, what was it? Rap music is, or what did I say? Oh, I said I will block every rap listening wigger on Twitter. And I just made this tweet, and all of a sudden, this fucking million tweets. Like someone shared it on like supposedly black Twitter or whatever, and the rap community, and there was all this fucking attacks and all this shit. And so I blocked like I took the time to block a lot of people, and there was a lot, just like when you get like mass attacks of these people, and that was the first time I remember that happening. And later on, it would happen. There came a point I realized where. I have the fucking on Twitter of @tradwestart because when I first came on there, it was just all about my first book, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know I was going to get into all this other science fiction and shit, right? So because I have that even though my name is not associated with trad, and since and even if it was associated with trad at that time, trad was not the word it means now because of all these shitty fucking kids that have been turned into tradcasts on Twitter themselves. And all these people that call themselves trad for fucking wearing dresses and going to church and posting Norman Rockwell paintings all day and all this. It's become associated with a certain thing. So now whenever I make a post, a certain community would like, look at these trad guys posting these fucking nudes. They're all perverts. And I'm like, and I'm not even like, I was never in whatever little group they think I'm in, let alone their little fucking idiot group. And there's a lot of attacks like that. Just because trad is in my on Twitter. It's a continual nuisance. But if I get rid of it, I could change it. And I've thought about it many times. But then I lose all the tweets I made up to that point, and it seems a bit tragic. It feels like I'm giving in to the morons,
Yeah. Here's the thing with haters. A lot of times what people are not rational beings. Human beings are not rational beings. 9 times out of 10, supposed ideological or moral judgments or points of contention come down to petty things. It's almost always jealousy. Like these feminists coming at you are literally just they're jealous that you wrote this book that people think like Regard, me included, Regard is a really important book on art. Your book on art like really shaped the way that I think about a lot of things. They're mad that that ain't them. And they're not as smart. They're not smart enough to come up with that. They're not as talented as that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that people, not everybody's got to be some kind of genius or whatever. There are people out there that are just regular and they're enjoyers and appreciators of things. And love and blessings to those guys, right? We're all together in this.
Well, it's one thing. It's one thing to be ignorant of something or to not know much about it. Like, say you and I, if we were ignorant of something, we try to educate ourselves in it and so forth. But when you are ignorant or you're not that smart, it's fine. There's no sin in that. And a lot of people are like that, and they don't cause trouble. But when you are that plus angry about it, and you get all angry about something when you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about at all, that's really one of the worst, at least online, the worst behaviors you can exhibit. Just when the anger comes into it, and they're like vicious out of the blue, like what, over something they don't even understand at all. That's the funniest thing. Like when I remember a couple posts on Twitter when I made about basically about fertility and about what's it called? What do you call it when women are having babies?
Nativity?
And it begins with an N, yeah. Not nativity, but yeah,
Natalism.
Natalism. That's it. And yeah, there was a few about that, which were intended to be natalist, but I don't know. I admit they were perhaps spicy. Natalist in a spicy way. But that's part of the joke. You can either get the joke or agree. There's both a point and a joke. And if you get both together, then it's excellent. And you're like, you are a perfect human being in my view. But if you get neither, and then you're angry about it, it's like you are you little piece of shit. Don't fucking talk to me.
It's just like it's like they take these things and then they go and they try to promote all these assumptions about. I had a couple, I guess like a year or two ago or something like that. I had some retarded feminist going at like talking to some of the ladies that I work with, like
What?
some of the shit.
Really?
Like, yeah, go, yo, you shouldn't work with him. He's a fucking abuser and he's an XYZ.
Really?
He's abusive. And they're like,
see, that's the kind of shit going out of their way to harass you over some stupid thing because they don't like what you said or whatever.
And
that's
it's like
terrible.
these ladies are like looking at him like they got two fucking heads. Because here's the deal: is that I have plenty of women in my life. I'm happily married for over a decade. I have done many, many things to help women. I have, I am a loving patriarchal figure in my community and in my family. And I have a baby girl. I have a daughter. You know what I mean? Like,
I have too.
Yeah. Like, who the fuck are you to judge me and spread those lies? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know it's, but they do.
They do.
But that is, there's a irrationality there, which is the reason. The point I try to make is like I do feel myself there is a big problem with, even though it wasn't created by women, there is the feminism problem is a massive problem because it fully divides half of the culture or society that falls for it, right? So fully half of that population is now potentially and largely activated against the other half.
Yeah.
It's such a huge problem that if you don't address, and I believe that many of the function of the unfair aspects of religion have been to manage that problem. There's no future unless you can wrangle that beast.
Yeah, feminism is a social cancer. It's just if there's no place for it, it just needs to get destroyed. Period. It's not something. If you want to talk about I'm somebody that's very pro-natal. Right? I'm a guy. I was back in the day. I was one of the guys that stood up and said that women should be allowed to breastfeed in public. Right? Let them breastfeed in public. Or build them. If I was king, I would build breastfeeding rooms in public areas for women to do that, because babies need to get fed, and babies absolutely need that collagen and that natural stuff from their mother. Period. We should encourage that,
If
right?
babies are not a focal point, babies and children are not a focal point of your civilization and of your idea of the future, then you have no future. There's no way around that. You have to, it has to be, everything must emerge from around that. If you want to improve things, if you want to have a future that ascends, there's
Yeah.
no way around that being pivotal. Yeah, right. And everybody enjoys their time as children. I enjoyed my childhood. I think you did yours. Some people don't. Some people had a hard time, but even they seem to understand that it's the most important time in your life in certain ways, and that it's absolutely crucial that you preserve the innocence of children, you protect them, you allow them to grow to be as absolutely great as they can be, and the potential in that is seemingly limitless, providing you have the proper, all your values are based around that idea. So that's
Yeah.
the importance of nativism and of all the other values that we typically share, right? I think sort of, it's in terms of what the modern world is trying to do to them.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
here's the deal is when you talk about feminism is a uh is just a capitalist horseshit at the end of the day. It is a way to get double the labor for half the money is what it is. And
Yeah,
anybody who
exactly.
is
Yeah.
traditional, right of center or whatever, one of our biggest goals should be to liberate women from labor.
Yeah.
Period.
Exactly. Yeah.
A society that
Exactly.
sends women to go work is fucked up. Women should not have to go through drudgery, and that's our job. You know what I mean? If you're sending women to war, you're sending women to go work in the fucking factory. You know what I mean? Women should be cherished and taken care of and at home and free, right?
Well,
Not
it's a
doing that.
double-edged sword of doom because it means they're not only not having kids, but that they're out feminizing the workforce and feminizing the world. Is a double-edged sword of doom to feminism. It was such a fucking final doom machine creation. Because not only do you have non-replacement birth rates, you've got the feminization of your culture and the civilization that we see.
Yeah.
So I've always
Yeah.
taken it I've always taken it quite seriously and been quite seriously opposed to it. But I don't want to fucking. It's such a hard thing because then all the women that sort of come on board with whatever you're doing, many, at least half of them, then will get pissed off about you because they will be essentially still sort of feminist to a certain degree.
I actually don't so I kind of have the philosophy that any woman outside of like a handful of women that I've met, any woman that has a serious online presence in any sort of like dissident or political space, there's something wrong with her. I've met maybe a handful that were like
Yeah.
mentally sound and not a huge problem. There are women that are kind of like sort of online or whatever. Most of them are married or have a serious relationship, and they do different projects with us. Like they'll do different art things or layout or whatever. They pop up and they say, "Hey Dave, what's up with this? Do you have any work that we could do?" Yeah, we do that. And then we communicate, we do the thing, and then they go live their lives. You know what I mean? Any any woman that like I see that has serious presence in the chat, except for maybe 5 or 6 that I've met in my whole thing, it's just there's so many of them are just unhinged, nutty, weird, something wrong with them, not the kind of women I want to associate with. Right. Men are more designed to be disagreeable. Right. So dissident spaces, it's not that weird that that it's a sausage festival, right? Disagreeableness comes with
Well, no, it's a double-edged sword to it because you want women around and you want women to be happy. So there's a there is a double-edged sword that we do have to be a little bit careful of. I do think, but everything you said is true. But like, how do you? As long as they, oh shit, it's such a hard thing. And now actually, I've like drank the fucking bottle of wine, so I'm a little bit licked.
Ah,
And I'm trying to collate my thoughts, and I don't know that they're coming together clearly or not. But let me think now. How would I say this? What you sounded there sounded a bit harsh to me.
all
Me,
right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
it sounded a bit harsh. It sounded a little bit harsh, and that you can let them. And there's certain ones that are, say, even the one that I talked to the other night. What's her name? The fucking video one that does the amazing videos. A very smart woman, actually, and not a feminist at all. I don't remember exactly what her story was in terms of what her plans were for natalism or anything like that, but hopefully she manages to do it. That's always this is the thing that really is. This is the other weird thing. There's nothing that pisses them off more, even right-wing women, than if you ask them, when are you planning to have kids? When are you going to get married? That really makes them angry.
Yeah.
Have you noticed this?
Yeah.
That's the other thing I don't get. So you cannot say that to them. You can't even like. Maybe it's because it's too much pressure for them. I don't know.
Yeah. One of my go-tos, if I get a female hater and she comes up, I ask her, I'd be like, I'd prefer to speak to your husband. They hate
That's
it.
good.
They hate it. Because
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, they don't have a husband. So it's like,
Yeah. Or 9 times out of 10, like a female, like, yeah, a creator online, even if they're right wing, won't have a husband or a plan. When really they should be, their main thing they could do is be having kids if they were really concerned about it.
Yeah.
But that's why the culture itself must steer them in this direction, because it's a hard thing, like to have kids. I mean, I watched my wife have 4 kids, and it's not easy. It got easier for her. By the 4th, it was like, well, there it is, no problem. But before that, the first, I remember, it was, it's a tough little business. It's scary, and for God's sake, can you imagine doing such a fucking
hell
thing?
no.
I can't imagine it.
No way.
You have to give them credit. Jesus Christ, like, what you have to give them credit for, and you have to have respect for that process of giving birth, because it is harsh and hard and fucking. It's just a fucking, a big scene. So in that regard, they deserve the utmost respect, and that's where respect should be guided. Is for when they do that, and facilitating them to do that, making them do that.
Yeah.
Not,
So here's, like, if I'm in the community or whatever, if I'm in my faith community, I'm at an event and there's a woman that wants to come talk to me, or she watches my show or whatever, especially if she has children, I definitely have more of an air of respect for when I talk.
I do
Because they
too.
deserve that.
Once you've seen it happen, I think you automatically have respect for any women you see that does it, and you're like, yep. And if they had a lot, it's like, fucking, you are like, fucking the greatest, like, a heroic general, basically. And it's equivalent in that way. I mean, that is if our role is to do with these other things, and must be in charge of them, that's their role. And if they do it successfully and well, it's should be rewarded. But this, in the modern world, it's something that they scares them, and is it. If they have an option to feel it's not necessary, I think it makes it harder. That's why I think the traditional society, like especially when I read about Egypt, ancient Egypt, and the role and how they taught this, the sexes were trained in school differently from an early age. So women and were raised through all the dynasties of Egypt to be mothers and house masters, basically. And you must. It's such a hard job to have kids that you must focus that training in that direction from day one, and keep it that way. And your other option, if you want to have sympathy and say, no, not sympathy, but if you want to take the other route and not give them the option to not have kids, is that you will die out and cease to exist.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of this, I really despise how women are portrayed in film and fiction today, right? They are just reskinned men. half the time. These fucking girl bosses. And what it does is it makes me want to puke, because when I think of like great women in my life, my nan, my grandmother, et cetera, these were not aggressive, masculine women. These were women that were, they were much more, they were very, very feminine. You know what I mean? My nan, my maternal grandmother, she was like beloved. Like this, she was a little old portly lady with big glasses and everything. And she never said bad words, and she gave everybody hugs. And she was just this like loving, like, unless football was on. She was a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan, and she would like lose her shit about football, right? She would drink Frescas, right? She liked Frescas and bologna sticks. This was like her shit, right? And she played Nintendo too. My nan was my nan was a gamer. So that was like kind of my part of my my connection with my nan was she played video games. But anyway, my nan was a sweet little lady. She had 8 children in her life, and she was a very humble means. She didn't really have much. She lived in a trailer like most of her life, etc. But when she died at her funeral, there were more people, and it was a big Catholic church. My nan was a Catholic, right? This big giant Catholic church. There were not enough pews to seat all the people that came to say goodbye to my nan. Yeah. So when I think of a great feminine figure, when I think of a matriarch, I think of my nan. Yeah. And it makes me sick that I can't see her in modern storytelling. They hate my nan.
Yeah, right? There's nothing like that, is there? There's no respect for mothers or grannies. Yeah, that's the thing. That feminists are opposed to the mother and the granny.
So I'm
the famous classic figure of the mother and the granny of the
they hate them. They
hate them. They hate them. Yeah.
And you know why? Because Nana was telling them, you fucking better go put some different clothes on. You're not going out look like that. Yeah. You better not be talking to that boy. He's a scumbag.
Yeah.
You know? They're telling them no.
Yeah. Go ahead. My Irish granny was famous for being like my cousin to this day. One of my cousins, I won't go into his details, but he would always tell me about my Irish granny, who I would knew from seeing her when I could. I grew up in Canada, so I'd only see her like so often, but I remember her as being a great, and he described her as being, how can I say? Well, I won't say it in the way that he said it. How can I put her? Jesus Christ, in that regard. But like someone who is, how can I say this in a YouTube friendly way? There's no way to put it. Jesus fuck. My granny, who was this great woman, who like incredible matriarch of this family, and I just say that it's her job, because my granddad died of what's called Alzheimer's, and so she was around for a good long time afterwards, and she took care of the family, and it was just very much like what you were saying there. He described her as frankly as a national socialist, and he's not a national socialist. In that she was like nationalistic and socialist, in that the family, everything was divided out equally between among her mostly daughters and my uncle, who had died, who didn't have kids. But hold on a sec, I'll be right back. You talk about something for a minute.
Okay. Yo, guys, press 9 in the chat for the grandmas and the nannies and the grannies out there. Rest in peace, or if they're still alive, 9 in the chat to hail the matriarchs. But yeah, so what I was going to say, I'm actually writing a novella right now. It's like a mob drama set in the 1980s. I hope guys like it when it's done. But one of my biggest things that I wanted to write in this story is I wanted to write a woman character that was meaningful and relatable to female readers and was lovable and believable, like a real how a woman would be, like a good female character. And she's in this book. I hope people like it when it comes out. It's set in 1980s Philadelphia. It's about the Italian people, and she is your typical kind of old time You know, very young Italian woman. She has her meltdowns. She's kind of a psycho, but she's like ferociously loyal to her husband. She gets scared at times, but she's has her wisdom at times. She's encouraging and loving, and like she is a woman character. And that to when I started writing this story, I was like, I want there to be a woman character in this story that is a good woman character. You know what I mean? Not some fucking girl boss with a 8-foot sword that like roundhouse kicks dudes to death and shit.
Yeah, all that is bullshit. So there's two stages of the woman character that's positive. There's the young, sexy woman character, and there's the motherhood woman character, and motherhood, grannyhood woman character. It goes on for the end of their days. And the motherhood one is the most respected, even though the sexy one is the one that we, are drawn to and eternally in our lifehood as men. There's, in both senses, that's like all the sassy, unwoman shit they make them do, like behaving like men, is bullshit. And I want to relate one story of my granny, even though this is very risky for YouTube. But my aunt told me this not long ago, actually, that here in Ireland, my granny was very ill, very old, and they lined up for. They were in some hospital, and they had to line up and wait for a very long time. And when the doctor emerged and he was African, my granny was like, "Nope, forget it, we're leaving." I wouldn't see him. And my aunt was telling the story, like she was all angry, like, and she was like, made me leave, and it was we couldn't even see the doctor. And I thought that was hilarious.
That goes hard.
I mean, that's a risky fucking YouTube story, but that's my granny, all right? My Irish granny, but she was like a socialist, and it's a good socialist. In that she was very. I remember going there, and okay, so I was a kid. I was growing up in Canada. I was growing up in the New World, and everything was modern. I was into heavy metal. I was this fucking. I remember going there in the 80s. This is how old I am, like the late 80s, and I had a mullet, and I was listening to Metallica and shit. And being in Ireland, and like going with my granny to a market and seeing some guy in a flat cap, like chop up a rabbit and skin it in a market, like in a fucking like a medieval alley, and just like being amazed by this, like, holy fuck, like this is tradition, really, if I think back to it, and like this is reality. If we even here or anywhere, we're not globalist and sourcing our own food and our own materials for everything, which we need to do if you want to have art or culture or anything, then this is how it goes. But yeah, she was definitely very nationalistic and very socialistic. But she wasn't. But her thinking was the result of having many kids. She had, was it 7 kids? More than me, anyways. I think it was 7. Yes, and all these grandkids associated with that. So. She felt responsibility to all of them, and she did her best up to her dying moments, and she was loving and like a woman should be, in a woman in her later life. Like we're sitting here talking, and we're surrounded by these babes and their sexy bikinis and things, fur bikinis. Hell but yeah. That's the early stage, which is also admirable, and very. We are men. We find this. Invigorating. I guess we always will. And that leads to the later stage, which they adopt in a queenly manner, like a queenly mantle. They wear it, and they may look not like they used to, and they may always regret, or not regret, but what's the word?
Long for.
Yeah, long for the time when they look like that. But if they have kids, they accept it, and they move on to taking care of those kids. And the man and the fathers and grandfathers should also. I mean, I do. I mean, as you do, as you know, you and I know. See, a lot of these times, these people, even these racist feminists, one thing I notice about them is that I think they're young. They don't have kids. I don't think they don't understand. You know, when you have kids, you lose the focus. Like they think everything you're doing is trying to present yourself as being sexy and single, and you know, when we're like now, kind of, you know, we're getting older and we have kids and we don't give, you know, we do not care about that really. I mean, we may still sort of fetishize the side of young women or whatever, but we don't. It's just kind of a, how can you
It's
explain it? Like
aesthetics.
it's a weird, like, yeah, it's a weird hobby or pastime. It's not like a real a number one drive in our lives. And once a man or woman has children, that takes over. Absolutely, I think. Right?
Yeah, it's a rite of passage. It
Yeah.
changes your brain in ways that I say you don't even understand what love is until you
No.
have children. You don't even
Or
like
family.
understand.
Or family. Yeah.
You don't even understand like love for your wife until she gives you a child.
No.
And let me tell you, the moment I saw my first son, my world changed completely. I held this because, like, as a young man, I said, "Oh, I would die for this. I would die for that," or I would, you know, you say those things, but they're kind of hollow. When I held my baby, my son, for the first time, I remember the first thought, not the first thought, but one of the thoughts that went through my mind is I understood. I was like, I would kill everybody in this room to protect this baby. You know what I mean? I would these innocent ass nurses that just like put in all these hours to give birth to my kid. If you know, one of the gods came down and said, for your child to survive, you must kill these ladies, I would strangle them one by one. Like, with no remorse to protect this baby. Right. And that is love. That is love. And love is something that's built over time. You know, you learn to love your wife and trust her and everything over time. She gives you children. She takes your name. She fucking, you know, she hides your shortcomings to other people, right? She does everything to be part of you. She is your eternal supporter. She is your second in command for the rest of life until you go to the afterlife together, right?
Yeah.
So it's like that is love. What you feel as a young man is lust.
Yeah. But when you have the kids too, it's more like, it's also to me, it's like any focus. There's many things that you were focused. Like I see a lot of people that never had kids, even when they're older, and they have a lot of focus on themselves and their ego and how they present themselves, and you can see that they never quite. It's like a natural stage of your life, certainly in midlife, to lose the focus on yourself. And it's good and it's natural and it's proper. And that your focus moves on to these little ones that you've created. And you're like, this is my charge now. I don't care about myself. I don't care. You know, I don't care about myself. When you see I see a lot of selfish behavior and silly talk from people that never had kids, right up to their like 70s. And it's like, you missed out on a stage of evolution of your soul and your life that you don't get it. You missed out.
Now, opposite of the trads, there's a group of people that are I guess like adjacent to figures like Bronze Age pervert and stuff like that. Which, you know, I don't have anything against Bronze Age pervert. I read his book. I thought some of it was pretty funny and insightful, and I thought it was okay.
You know, neither do I overall. Even though I've heard the talk about him being like a Michelin and this and that, but even like I read something that was supposed to be an attack article against him recently, and I thought overall it actually vindicates the idea that he is what he appears to be in a lot of ways. He's just kind of a weird guy that you know, is similar to us probably, and like quite smart, maybe a bit like almost
Eccentric.
even over autistic in some other ways, yeah, or whatever.
Like
Romanian, he's Romanian or something, right? Like that, right? Romanian half Jew or something. But overall, it would fit. I actually thought, okay, no, he's a guy that made similar realizations in his own way, or you know, because I was actually more suspicious of him before, or at least not even so much of him as some other guys in his entourage. Some of these people he has in his fucking club or his cult. Some of them I find a bit suspect, and I don't. Some of them, not many of them, I'm friends with, and so forth. You know, I used to be in a group chat with him, and there was like a legendary. When I think back now, it's quite legendary. It was like a group chat on, was it Facebook or Twitter? I don't remember. It was like him. It was Twitter, I think. Him, fucking like Way of the World, and like who else was there? Who else was some of these fucking guys? There was like 5 guys that you would know about from like that, you know, this scene. It just like that would not normally be together in a group chat, but before they were all like, even before his book really took off as much as it did, and so he was in there as like, and he would ask, "What do you think about that?" He would always be wondering about aesthetics, and he would ask like, "What do you think of this aesthetically?" And I would tell him, "It's okay," but it'd be like, you know, pictures of his eggs or something. But it was funny. It was hilarious, like to be like back in the day, and like it was a funny old group chat. I don't know why I'm talking about that, because that's fucking. It doesn't relate to anything. But
Well, yeah. What I was gonna say is, so guys, I'm not taking shots at nobody here. I'm not taking shots at nobody here, but they have this. It kind of goes the other way from like the trads, where they think that the highest form of man is the young man who is like a warrior and a hero, and they very much hold up, you know, Alexander the Great, and you know these people were great. You know, then we should do that, right? It's like whatever. But here's the fact of the matter is that even the greatest heroes that have ever lived, when they came home, they bent a knee to their father. It didn't matter how great you were. In ancient Rome, if the paterfamilias ordered your death, you died. If you're paterfamilias, you could be, you know, somebody great. You could be the Caesar himself, right? If your paterfamilias says, "You have shamed my family, throw yourself from a cliff," you obeyed.
Yeah.
That is how the ancient world was. There was no male figure that wielded more power than the father. That's why in every pantheon, the greatest of the great is a father. Odin is the all-father, right? Zeus is a father. Jupiter is a father.
Jupiter is the day father.
Deus Pater.
Deus Pater is the day father.
Yep. Deus Pater. Yeah, the
well, Deus is Dios, but apparently meant day father, as in he was the father of the sky and the day.
The sky father, right?
It's always the same. I know.
Every Indo-European head of the pantheon is the father of the sky. He's Big Daddy, right? The patriarch is the king. And when you picture the archetype of the king in your mind, do you picture a young, strapping young guy? Or do you picture a man with graying silver hair sitting on a throne, and everybody's awaiting what his words will be because he could speak your fate? It's the patriarch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like this idea that being old or growing old sucks, and that everybody should try to stay forever young is the problem with modernity, right? You got these Hollywood actresses and pop stars that turn themselves into plastic surgery monsters as these desperate attempts to cling on to their long gone youth. Look at Madonna. What a monster she has become, right? She couldn't just be an old lady. But in her mind, in her world, there's no greater sin than to be old, right?
Yeah, no, someone says in the chat, Deus Father. Don't know if it means day exactly, Sky Father. No, I don't mean that Deus means day. Deus Deus is like Dios, and like the Italians and the fucking Spanish will say now, like
Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah, Dios is Dio is Dio or Theo. Theo, I know a guy named Theo is also, it's all basically from the root word of for God and the Sky Father. I always thought
like theology.
I think Deus Pater means Sky Father, Day Father for other reasons. I could be wrong. Not for the reason that Deo sounds like day, for other reasons, but it is basically the Sky Father. It's the same
Yeah,
thing.
the sky.
It's
Well, the
all-
sky is associated with the sun, right? It's associated with the sun, and the
Yeah.
sun is obviously associated with the day. But I do believe. Wait, let me think. Is the
What?
day masculine? I can't remember. It
And the
is like
sun and the moon is
Indo-European.
feminine. Well, we're dealing with different. So you're more of the Germanic faith, obviously.
Yeah, and the
Were you
sun
not
is
ever
feminine.
were
and
you not ever
Germanic.
tempted towards the Latin or Roman or Hellenic faith? With I would be more interested in myself.
No,
Why not?
I don't know. I had spiritual experiences the way that I did, and
Like what?
I'm
What was
patrilineal.
what was spiritual experience that set you on this route? Tell me.
So the first real spiritual experience that I had. So first of all, I am patrilineal Germanic. I identify as a Germanic man. You know, I got love for my Italian heritage, and I boppity boopy a little bit, right? I got it in me, and it is what it is. But I am a Germanic man. I'm a Pennsylvania German. I have it is what it is. But when I first came into spirituality, so I felt like people ask when I became a pagan. It's just, I used to say like, oh, well, this is when I became, because this is what, but I feel that I was always a pagan, right? Before I even knew heathenry was a thing. Like me and my buddies would go do like offerings to Odin and stuff. We would, like offerings of beer or burn things or write runes on a paper and burn it. We didn't even know what we were doing, but we did, right? Even as I was a little kid, I used to like, offer my toys to spirits and stuff. You know what I mean? Like I've always been a pagan for some reason. I just always have been. But the first time that I prayed and I believed that I had a spiritual experience, and I hate saying that, but I believe, because I believe doesn't sound confident, right? I in my heart, I know. I was a teenager, and this was about the time that I started to feel that I was starting to feel confident to say, I believe in the golden, right? I believe in the gods. And I didn't know heathenry was still a religion. I thought maybe I was the only one in the world. The first time that I prayed was I was a teenager, and there was a tornado up here in PA. We don't get tornadoes up here. This is, it's the mountains. Tornadoes are bizarre. It was an anomaly. And the biggest tornado ever in Pennsylvania history landed in the field behind my house. And for those of you guys that might live down in Tornado Alley, like, it's not that big of a deal. To me, to guys up here, it was traumatizing to see a big black pillar of wind going up into the heavens, howling like a 1,000 freight trains. It was like apocalyptic, right? The sky turns green black. The air smells weird. It is apocalyptic, right? So we're not prepared for that. We don't know how to deal with that kind of weather. We get tornado watches and tornado warnings like all the time, and we just ignore them because it never happens. We get some wind or whatever, some hail, maybe like some branches fall or something. Never do we get a real tornado. So we get this, and the wind starts really going nuts. And I remember it was in the house that I grew up in. I'm back in my room, and I look out the back window to see the field behind my house, and I see this funnel cloud forming. And it was, I believe they rated it as an F4. It was absolutely gigantic. It blacked out the sky. It was really, really, I still have nightmares about it. This was, 20 something years ago. And I remember the sound it sounds like a freight train is going right in front of your face, like 1,000 freight trains. And I remember I turn and I shout at the top of my lungs, you guys hear me? You guys know me. I am not a quiet guy. I have a big voice. I've never been a quiet guy. I'm the kind of guy I whisper and the people in the next room hear me. I shout as loud as I can, tornado, get into the basement. And it was like one of those dreams where you try to scream and nothing comes out. Everybody starts running into the basement. I run into the basement. We get down there, and I realize that my one dog was not there. He was up in my bedroom hiding under the bed. So I don't know why I should have let that fucking dog up there, but I went to save my dog. I ran upstairs. I ran to the back room, and everything I saw outside the window was black. There was entire pieces of trees falling everywhere. And I grabbed my dog. I drag him out from the bed, and I prayed to the Thunderer to please save my family. And the tornado, this is something freak that happened. By all rights, my house should have been flattened. I should have been dead. This tornado jumped over my house, landed at the top of the hill, and went to destroy and flatten an entire neighborhood, an entire development. The Thunderer spared me.
Mm.
And that's why I wear this every single day. I don't know if you guys can see it. Every day of my life.
Oh. Well, that is an impactful story for sure.
Yeah, it was.
And I can see why you would.
Yeah, so I believe that he saved my family that day. And maybe I guess there's always room for coincidences or whatever. Tornadoes jump sometimes. In my heart of hearts, I know that it's true.
Well, see, I've always had a very strange view to religion. So even I have a very syncretic view myself. Like, even though predominantly Hellenic and Roman, I still have some sort of not only Christian, but I would as well, because I'm myself Anglo and Celtic. Look into those religions and search for things. And, I've prayed as well to the Thunderer before. The Celtic religion is extremely odd, a very strange one, which makes it all the more intriguing. And not many people worship it as well. But that's a whole other kind of issue, I guess. The strangeness of that. It's not like, how many people do you know that say they'd be Celtic pagans?
I don't really know many. It kind
I
of.
I know a few cheesy fucking Wiccan kind of chicks who would say it. That's about it. Myself.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Is I know a lot of heathens that have some like Celtic syncretism in their stuff, but as a whole, most people are sort of avoidant of that community because it is so paused, unfortunately.
So right, so so my experience is, my anecdotal experience is yours as well. Yeah, that is mostly that crowd. Why would that be?
Why would that be?
Because they can take advantage of it, because it's so unknown, sort of. Because the main reason for the like, I never did completely rescind my Christianity or anything else. I just look at it from a sort of Renaissance and post-Renaissance view, aristocratic post-Renaissance view, that the gods of Rome and Greece and the stories that they left us were so excellent, and so already imbibed into the better parts of Christianity, that we might as well adopt them and carry on. And even today on Twitter, I posted that wall mural I did of fucking Jupiter and Thetis when I was in East Vancouver in my shitty apartment. I painted a big mural on the wall when I was there, and of course, and even then, I was kind of like dabbling in that kind of belief. Certainly, I had an understanding that it was aristocratic belief of Europe, certainly from the Renaissance onward, in the Greek and Roman myth. But they would still hold a certain folk belief, not even a belief, but a folk respect in each country for the Gallic and Brittonic and other beliefs that had been there as well as being ostensibly Christian. So it's a hard thing to do, but I kind of combine all these things myself, and I can't say I don't. I was raised with a little bit of all of it. Your personal story there was very dramatic, and I can understand exactly what you think and why you would do what you did. And you chose that prayer at the moment that you did, and that it ultimately worked out for you really would, I think for me as well, mean you must then continue with that from that day forth.
Yeah, it's the way that I see it is Indo-European comparative mythology stuff is very interesting, and I think most of it is true. And is Odin Jupiter? Is the Dagda? Is Rod? Is Shiva? Et cetera? Are they all the same deity? Yeah, probably. But
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not the guy to say that. You know what I mean? The way that I see it is the way that I understand the gods is true and real, and because of their impact on my life, I have loyalty and fealty to them, and just about everything that I do, from my books to my music to just about everything, is I believe uh, is what they want for me to do. My life is their will.
Yes, and I sort of think that as well. I mean, I do think that, but I don't have a. I just think that the labels as we alluded to already, the labels as to what we call them are probably man-made and subjective in a certain sense. But yes, it's an important thing. And what a heavy business we got onto in this podcast, which was supposed to be about marketing and a few other stupid bullshit things. But here
It's all
we have
good.
ended. Yeah. So why don't we end it there or soon? I mean, I don't know. If we're going to carry on, I'm going to get a drink or something. And if do you have something else to say, or what? Are you?
No, I got to get going. But I was just going to say that, yeah, it was, we didn't talk about what we wanted to talk about, but here's the deal: is spirituality in these types of things are important to our lives and the human experience, and they're immensely important to creative endeavors. So even one of the biggest things is I am a student of Poe, I am a student of Howard, and I'm a student of Lovecraft. All three of those guys are believed or known to be materialists or atheists or some sort of in between place, especially Lovecraft, self-described staunch materialist.
Well,
although
yeah, but he sort of had he was sort of that's and not in the sense that with like Dawkins or somebody though. It wasn't like that.
No, he was actually sort of a self-hating materialist, right? He very much had. I have his poetry book like around here somewhere. He writes odes to the ancient gods all the time. He was like, I think that he was just in a place that he was actually a pagan and did not know that was an option. So that's just kind of how he interpreted it and how he did it. And I'm not saying, I'm not out here beating up Christians, dude. I just it's my faith, and that's, when I get asked to talk about it, I'm not ashamed to admit my belief, and I think that everybody should have belief and piety in some way. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't think that people of my ilk should come home to what I believe to be the true faith, right? For our folk. But I'm not. If you don't, I'm not going to come beat you up about it. I'm not going to come at you about it. I'm not going to judge you about it. Believe what you believe to be true, what you believe to be right. And if you're into what I'm into, which is creating beautiful, awesome, entertaining, weird stuff, then we're boys. That's just the way that I am.
Yeah, so thanks for carrying that for a minute there. I had to run off for a minute. And so we talked a lot of shit. I mean, we talked a lot of shit. Did we not?
Yeah.
Called
out a few different contingencies that are probably going to be all butt man. Fuck them.
Oh, fuck the flat. Fuck every flat earther that ever lived. It's what I mean. I don't. You can fucking fuck you, idiot. You're an idiot. You're a fucking not just an idiot. You're like literally mentally handicapped. Let me just say that. Okay, but Dave doesn't necessarily have to be involved in what I'm saying right now.
No, I don't care if you're a flat earther. I don't care.
Yeah, he doesn't care. That's fine.
So for me though, fuck you. Don't
I do
follow
think-
me. Just stay the fuck away from me.
Flat Earth is objectively false, though. It's not true. I will
Yeah,
say that.
it's not true. It's not true.
It's kind of weird to think that.
Mm.
Yeah.
You can go there's many rabbit holes you can go down, and once you have certain things exploded for you that you believe, it can be very easy to fall into this or that conspiracy. And when I see some of even the Moonlander stuff, it'd be like people would send me these things, and it'd be like, did you know that? I remember one I got once. It was like, did you know that the number on it was something really ridiculous. Something like the number on Stanley Kubrick's bike, or the number, or something really obscure. What it was like, the number on the label on Stanley Kubrick's bike was the same as Neil Armstrong's birthday or something. Like some fucking schizo stupid bullshit. I remember thinking, you people are just fucking idiots.
There's a word for like seeing patterns where they're not. I forget what it's called.
It's not schizophrenia. What is it?
No, there's like a specific thing. I can't remember what it's called, but it's when you see patterns where there are none.
That's got to be so dumb, because seeing patterns is such a obscure and specific thing. To see patterns where there's none, you got to be such an idiot. That's funny. To make up patterns where there's none. So what a waste of time. What a wasteful person. I mean, fuck you. Fuck all you people. Sons of bitches. Fucking idiots.
Yeah, there's there's people that have come out. I've said things.
Oh, Solar Temple says it's called apophenia. Is that true?
That's it. Yep.
Oh, you knew this? I never heard of that fucking word.
Yeah.
Apophenia.
Yeah, it's part of a lot of people that are schizophrenic have it. That's why schizophrenic people they'll be like, I saw somebody drew something on a bathroom stall, and I know it was this person, and it's part of this conspiracy, and they're out to get me, and they have that, right? It's part of it. But there's people that are not schizophrenic that have that too, and people that learn that, right? People that spend too much fucking time online reading stupid conspiracies about shit that don't matter. Like, here's the deal: even if the moon landing didn't happen, it doesn't change anything. It's
it does for me, but
why though? Just because you like it?
No, it just means that there was a level of achievable, that was the summit of human achievement, as far as I'm concerned, right? That was the summit.
I got a take on it that's really going to make probably you and every other moon lover mad.
Okay, what?
Space sucks, and it's
all right. I've heard this. You say this, yeah.
There's
nothing we disagree about, right? It's
trying to go there is retarded. It's
right,
a fucking nightmare dimension, endless void of lifelessness that
but
human beings.
That's why you go.
You can't go.
That's the point. You can't go. They've gone to the moon. They've done it. They can go further. They could go to Jupiter and fucking Pluto, and I mean beyond that, maybe not.
Why though?
Why not? What else are they gonna do?
Something more productive.
It's like climbing the mountain for the sake of the mountain, right?
It's a big waste of money and time and resources.
Fucking money. Who gives a shit about money?
Yeah, give me that money.
Money is nothing.
Yeah, give it to me instead.
Well, fuck. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
So I can buy So here's the deal. If you give me that money, I'm gonna buy like a really sweet 86 Chevy Caprice with a 350 small block, and it's going to be fucking purple with gold spoke rims.
No. See, I think a large part of our decline at the moment is the lack of the frontier, the falling back from the frontier that happened because we didn't go further than the moon, and we fell apart at that stage that was kind of apathy occurred.
What about the ocean? Just go down there.
It's not good enough. There needs to be out. You need to go out, just like your fucking Pennsylvania Dutch people went to fucking North America. You're Dutch and you're German.
Yeah, and then you went as far as you could go, and you post.
You need to go farther. You need to keep going. You need to go into the void.
No,
you need to increase the biosphere. If the gods are happy with us and we are able to procreate and be good, And everything good, every good goal we might have should be in increasing the biosphere.
So here's the fact of the matter with outer space. Number one, there's nothing that can protect you from the radiation. It will poison your body.
There's no radiation. There's not. There's not. The Van Allen belt thing is bullshit.
No, it's not.
They went to the moon. Unless you don't believe they went to the moon, they saw flashes of Buzz Aldrin and etc. We'll talk about. They saw flashes behind their eyes, but it never affected them. And he's lived to now fucking 90 something. So it's not. It's not the big impenetrable fucking thing they talk about. There are radiation. There are other radiation belts, and there's. We could certainly go to Mars though, and we could.
No, I think it's fake. I think it's
Mars
fake now. Well, I think that the moon landing's fake now.
Why? Now, just because I said that?
Yeah, because it's fucking. You're starting to love up on space a little too much.
Well, you know,
it's gonna. It happened. The anti-gravity is going to scramble your brains. It's going to rip your guts apart. You can't live out there. And plus, we're designed. You got the Schumann resonance here on Earth. You can't even live.
But we will evolve to live out there. People will evolve to live out there. Ideally, if we fall back and we don't go out there, then we're definitely going into Dark Age land in a major, major way.
No.
Yeah.
Science is gay. There's no way that science liberates us. The only
science
way
is real. Science is real. Science is there's where your Plato and your Aristotle come in and must defeat that. Where do you get the science is gay bit?
Because it's fucking gay.
No.
Yeah, science is like the worst.
No, science is real.
I didn't say it's not real. I just said it's fucking gay as fuck. That's what
I'm saying. It's gay.
And it's wrong like all the time. It's always wrong.
Well, how's it wrong?
Well, fucking evolution.
What about it?
I don't believe in it.
Okay. And for what reason?
I don't know. I hate evolution now.
As of this right now.
Everybody that I hate like jerks off about evolution, and so I'm a heathen creationist, heathen fundamentalist. And I believe that Voluspo is like really what happened and how the world was created.
What's a Voluspo?
Voluspo is the creation myth, the Germanic creation myth.
Weimar and stuff, is it?
Yeah, Emir
or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Well, so I think that actually happened.
Well, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't agree.
Yeah. I also like saying that because when I say that I'm a pagan, like libtoads, like, oh, well, they think we're like kind of on the same team until I tell them that evolution is fake. And other spicy religious beliefs that I have that are completely incompatible with.
I think evolution is not fully explained, but that it's more or less true that you can see evolution in the husbandry of animals, like fucking.
Right.
Like the right, the evolution of cows and sheep and dogs and stuff, and the breeds of dogs. Breeds of dogs alone explains evolution. No,
I also think the giants were real. I believe in giants.
Maybe, yeah, that could be real.
Yeah, I think that there's actual evidence of giants and that they were here.
So, did you always think that the moon landing wasn't real, or did you just decide that because it's not really?
No, here's kind of my whole take on just about everything that is outside of the things that I actually believe is that the moon landing doesn't matter, right? I actually made the argument to somebody before. I just told them that I don't believe in dinosaurs, and like,
how could it not matter though? If the Vikings or the ancient Germans or the Romans or anybody could have done that, it would certainly be a massive achievement. And if it happened, it means a level of achievement has occurred. If the moon exists, you admit the moon exists, yes?
Yeah, of course.
Right? So it's there, and they landed on it. So it's really quite a major contentious problem if you don't think it happened or it did happen. So I believe it did happen, and I think it's a landmark human achievement. So that is quite a problem. It's more of a problem, yeah. It's more of a distinction and a problem than it maybe at first seems. And it can explain why all those idiots were fucking getting angry with me and reported my fucking Telegram for titties because of it.
Was it for
Is that-
real? They were so mad about the moon.
There was one guy. Yeah, there was one guy who was angry. I kept deleting his comments because they were so stupid. And he was like, "You gonna censor me?" Fucking. And he like next thing I knew, I was banned on fucking Telegram. So I assume it was those fucking
pussy.
idiots.
What a poon.
Yeah, the racist feminists weren't smart enough to fucking report me for news. They were the racist feminists. Even the name is so stupid.
That's funny. It's so weird. It's like they're trying to combine two absolutely incompatible positions that like absolutely hate each other, right? They like I don't know. It's clown shit. That's why I think it's not serious. That's why I think that's why I don't even like respond to them. There's like a lot like I also think that a lot of it is like run by 3 people, like one or two people.
Oh, there's not there's not many. There's maybe 10 of them at the most. Yeah. There's not many.
Yeah. And like a lot of them got outed as on Twitter. Like one of them turned out to be a black guy.
What? Really?
Yeah. One of the like it was like one of the and it's funny because back in the day the joke was to call them feminazis, right? And then they start becoming feminist Nazis. Like it's just
so many.
One of them turned out to be a black guy.
So you have to admit that most, like so many women went in for this, right? Didn't they? More than I thought. In terms, like most of them went in for the radfem thing. Like even like so many, 90% of the women that were in our sphere moved into this fucking.
No.
I think a lot.
It's
so
like
many that I used to see and like talk with and see around are gone because of that, and they're like good old angry. Like it feels like that.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
That's a lot, yo.
Maybe
90%. That's
like 60, 70, 80. I don't know. So
still 90% is like 12 whole women.
Okay,
like
yeah, 90% is like 12. Yeah, we're talking about like numbers that are so small to begin with. It's true, yeah. It's true, but we cannot proceed based on what they want us to do, no matter what. Right?
Yeah,
we cannot. I mean, if there's one thing we should not do, it's that. But what kind of shit are we talking here?
I don't know.
What kind of shit?
It's like feminism is like, I don't know. I was like, it's kind of like we were at the point in kind of our scene of things that like the women like dunking on women thing kind of just been chilling out, and guys have been like, oh, guys get older, get married, stuff. It's not as prevalent. You go back like 5-6 years ago or something, it was like full on 4chan like craziness, and it was like we're finally getting to the point where like guys and girls are getting along a little bit, and then they pop up with this. It's like, I don't know, it just seems a little fugazi. I think it's a bunch of black guys.
Fugazi.
Yeah, it's like fake.
Fugazi. Is that Italian? What's that term?
Yeah, I think so.
Fugazi.
Yeah, I can't believe you never heard that.
I've heard the band Fugazi.
Yeah, that's the word.
Shitty fucking punk band from the 90s. But is that what it's from?
No. They got the word from that. They're probably from New York or something.
Okay, well, listen. Let's put an end to it now. Soon. Very soon.
Yeah, let me get going here. I got some work I should knock out before bed.
Before bed, Jesus. And it's like 2 a.m. It's almost 2:30 for me, so I'm gonna fucking
it's 9:30 here. Come on, Dad. This ain't dad hours for you, bud.
Oh, it's the summertime, and I've got special license right now too.
The boss gave you cut you out a special license.
Basically, yeah, more or less. I'm a work from home dad for like fucking, and it's the summertime, so I can sleep in and do this shit. That's the whole point of me doing these fucking streams over August, which I will do many.
But
Solar
we went on for a
Temple.
long time. We didn't go on about publishing as much as what can we say about it? Although we keep doing it and fucking we know what we need to do, and we still need these advertising people wherever the fuck they are
Yeah.
that we need to materialize and do it.
But I guess the more videos and things we make about it, the more likely they may
appear at some point and realize that there is money in it and do their job. Yeah.
Yeah, you got a super chat over here.
Oh, hard sci-fi versus high fantasy celebrity deathmatch. Well, that's what you're watching as we speak. Actual deathmatch. We'd have to become enemies over the whole thing.
Wait, who's the high fantasy guy though?
Is it you? I don't know. It's
I
not.
don't know.
I'm the sci-fi guy.
Yeah, you're not hard
Yeah.
sci-fi though. You're
he's horror.
sci-fi.
He's horror. He's not sci-fi. He's not high fantasy.
Yeah.
High fantasy is one of those other guys. Kurosawa is
High fantasy.
No, he's like planetary romance.
Is he?
Yeah. With
What's
some
that?
fantasy move. Planetary romance is like Edgar Rice Burroughs kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
Mhm. Or like Flash Gordon type shit.
So he's a bit sci-fi too, then, is it?
Yeah, he's a little sci-fi. He's a little bit. Yeah, we're all just like a little bit everything, but with a, you kind of do like Aegeon, especially. I didn't read the new one, but your last one, it was like, it really like your last couple issues that I've read. It was like really, like how like Metallica hit And Justice for All, and that was like. You're like, okay, this is like Ride the Lightning and Justice for All is like the culmination of Metallica. They found their sound.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like your last, I guess. What was your 6? I read most of 4, most of 5. 4 and 5 are like you're like hitting your stride. I think.
Well, 6 I think was the best. I do think 6 was the best actually. You should read 6 if you haven't read 6. Yeah, I do think it was the 6. 6 was the best so far. Yeah,
And most people that
that were editing it and so forth. A lot of them actually had the odd complaint about 4 and 5 that they did not have with 6, and they were like 6 was like the one where it's pure fun all the way through, and just like it's the best one. But even though, like, I don't know why it's been hard to get reviews for that one and stuff. I do actually believe it is the best one. I would say. And
4 and 5. What was it? 4 and 5.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but no, I think 6 is the best. Yeah, I would say 6 is the best. Although the first 2, the one that sells the best is number 2.
I haven't bought your new one yet. I'm gonna get it soon. You put out, dude. It's just I got so many books, and I try to keep up with the Aegeons. It's just you put out a lot of books, so it's hard for me to keep up with all of it. And it's hard for me to have time to read all of it. But I own every single copy of your books up to 5. I have Dream God. I have Western Art. I have everything you've done pretty much except for Aegeon 6. And I think as far as from what I've read, 4 and 5 were your best ones, but still today, my favorite is your first one.
Is it?
Yeah, there's something. It's like, so I don't mean any sort of offense. It's not nearly as good as your later ones. It's got more errors in it. There's some stories in it that are a little weird. You probably should have put that in there. You got you're like kind of experimenting a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I fucking like it. My favorite story actually is the one of them you wrote, that fucking story where they're underwater. It's like this weird underwater world. What is it? Right. What is that? Atlantica or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. There's a sequel to that written in one of the later ones.
In 4 or 3.
Is it 4 or 5? Yeah.
3. Yeah.
One of them.
I liked the sequel. I liked it. I
remember you loved that one, the Waterworld one.
I love that. I adore that. I've read probably out of all the Aegeon stories, I've probably read, I don't know how many stories, 20 of the Aegeon stories so far, 10, whatever. I don't know how many stories. I've read a bunch of shit, right? That one is still my fucking favorite. Maybe it's just because like Aegeon just dropped and I was like pumped about it, and it's part of the experience. And I really I love the cover art. Like it was just like the experience of the first Aegeon. You know what I mean? It's like there's people that love like Slayer's first album, whoever's first album. It might not be their best album, but because they were at a certain time. Because during this time, I think Bizarre Archives 2 just came out, and like I was just starting. I think around that time I like made my first 4-digit check from publishing. So it was like it was like a good time. It was summertime. I read it. I'm sitting outside. I don't know. There's something about it. But that story fucks, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean to continue that story, yeah, but it is very pulpy. That story, very just like obscure and pulpy. But everyone says they like different ones, and that's fine.
And also, what was it, issue 3 or whatever? Cuthbertson's story in one of your issues, Screaming Circuits.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Dude, that's like one of my favorite Cuthbertson stories. I'm like jealous that you got that one.
All right, yeah, it is a good one. Yeah,
I
keep asking him to do another one. He doesn't like. He's too busy, or he's too busy with his gnome stuff.
Yeah, he's dude, getting him to do Bizarre. He's like committed because he's got the Count Coralor series and Bizarre Archives.
Right.
But dude, that guy's a star. He should be a star. He is so good.
He's a good writer. Yeah,
he's so good.
It
was really like good. Originally he was gonna give, he was gonna submit Spire to you and Screaming Circuits to me, and I loved Screaming Circuits. But he's like, I guess you told him that you were having a little trouble with the length of Spire or something like that.
No, I just didn't read it. He sent it me, and I did not read it for like. I was even the problem I have, I think, where I like even now, like submissions, they send them to me. Like I feel like I just put out issue 6. You know, I'm so sick of reading anything. I still have not read any submissions for issue 7, and there's been a few that are like, "Have you read it? Have you read it? Have you read it?" And that if this goes on for long enough, they will just give up and publish elsewhere. But it takes me a while to.
Yeah, maybe that I can't. It's so hard to. I deal with so many stories. It's like impossible for me to remember all the circumstances. But he like did a switcheroo, and he gave you Screaming Circuits and gave me Spire, and yeah, I guess it worked. I just love Screaming Circuits. It's such a great fucking story, and I'm glad that I got Spire because that turned out to be a bestseller in the UK, so it worked out good for us. And a lot of people really liked Spire, so it's. Spire is also a little bit more Bizarre Archives theme because it's a little bit grittier and grimmer and a little bit more horror style, I guess.
Yeah, I don't even know what's it about. I still never read it.
It is.
I never did read it.
Yeah, it's about. So pretty much, it's about. I can't remember the character's name. Here, actually. So Spire, yeah, it's the character is. What's his name? Crag or something like that. Craig. Some shit. I can't remember the character's name.
There was a couple other actually authors who got pissed off with me the length of time it took me to read their stories, and like just forget it and like left and like told me not to bother. And
Thag.
1 or 2 more that did that as well.
Yes. So it's about Thag, and it's about the planet. What's the planet called? It's on another planet. It's like a mining planet, and there's this big giant weird spire that pulsates and stuff like that, and he's like the main character is like addicted to this weird cyberpunk stimulant drug, and he's like completely nuts, and it's just like tons of violence and fighting, and the faction that controls the mining corporation comes after him, and there's this cult called the Atenites, and then there's this weird fucking nutty cosmic horror ending. I can't tell you anymore, but it's a fucking dope book. It is a dope book, and it's a lot of people really liked about it was it's really short, and it's only 99 pages. So folks really
is it yeah. Well, shit, he can always write another one for me, anyways, if he's around, if he's doing it. But yeah, Asian was always ultimately, really, at first at least, a vehicle for me to publish my own short stories. And even like whenever you read a short story in there and the author has a very dubious and weird name, it's pretty much me. And it was always pretty much just like, unlike other publishers like Kursova, like it wasn't really about. I mean, I do try to publish these other people now as well, as much as I can. It has to be good though, and it really has to be, at least to me, good. And I never did read that Spire. I'm sure I would have published it if I had read it. But when I do get around to reading them, I publish only the very best of them.
Because it's easier for me to write a story actually
than it is to edit a bad one, or really like sophomoric one or whatever. It's easier for me to write one from scratch than it is to edit one from somebody else that's not up to scratch.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it when I'm doing those things.
Yeah. And it's also cool. You got it's kind of like how you got like a stable of guys that are in almost every issue.
Yeah.
That's the good stuff. I like that. I don't really care. There's like a few other serials that are out there that it's almost like different people every single time. And
like who? What else is out there?
I don't want to.
Oh, right. You don't want to say
because I'm kind of being critical, and I don't want to critique our pulp brothers out there, because I do have love for them. Right. But there's a few other serials out there that it's like there's like different people in it every single time, and that's cool too. There's people, I guess there's readers that like that. This is just a preference thing. I like when I open up a serial and I know it's going to be at least a handful of guys that I see every single time. I would rather read a story that I don't love from a guy that I like his style and everything than like reads. I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm just like such a home team guy with everything. I love familiarity. It's weird because I'm a spontaneous person. I'm a very spontaneous, random, eclectic person, but I love familiarity and things, right? When I go out to eat, I order the same thing every single time. It never changes.
And what's that?
Well, it depends where. If I go to Chinese, I get pork lo mein and dumplings every single time. If I get if I want pizza, I get this. I'll just get a plain pizza. I love to try plain pizza. Depends which pizza place. Okay. Depends which pizza place. Because there's like a pizza place down by my house. They do the best Sicilian in the area. I get Sicilian from them every single time. Right. So it's like if I get Mexican, I get carnitas tacos every single time.
You do get the Mexican. You must admit the Mexican ranks.
It's good. It's ranks. Good. Yeah. It's just when we're talking about the like tippy top of cuisine, that doesn't. No, we don't put it up.
Well, let's be honest though. I mean, who doesn't love some of the Mexican food? It's so prevalent, and so I mean,
I'm surprised you have access to Mexican food in Ireland.
Well, I do, barely, to be honest. Not in to the same extent. Maybe that would make you appreciate it more if you were in my position. But there are some, and more so, they try to infiltrate, and it makes you realize that. Yeah, and I know a Mexican guy here, and he's like, when you're in Mexico, yeah, that's one thing. There's all the wildness and the crazy shit of being in Mexico, but it's the one thing you say is the fucking food you have when you go around is generally pretty. And if you a truly traditional type restaurant will even be more amazing. And there's just a unique approach to food from Mexico, from whatever reason. It's not quite Spanish. Because Spanish is some other fucking thing, right? Tapas and shit or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll tell you why I'm kind of lying, because I have switched it up recently. I don't get carnitas tacos every single time. I get those torta sandwiches. You ever have one of them? A torta?
No. And what's that?
It's a Mexican sandwich, and they're fucking nuts, right?
Oh,
you got to take your heartburn medicine, and you're gonna take a crap the next day. But like it's gonna tear you up. But it's their first of all, their bread is very good. They do like this like kind of floury, sort of dry, spongy. It's almost like a ciabatta bread, except less chewy. And they'll like the one I get is called the Cubana. So it has a fried egg on it. It has fried steak. It has ham. It has chorizo. It has freaking like all these ridiculous ingredients, avocado, beans, cheese, fuck it. Like it has all this bullshit on it. And they put carnitas on it. It's got like 8 different meats on it. It's like this big. It's ridiculous. And I can't I don't. I'm trying to be less fat, so I eat only a half of one, and I save the rest for like another day. But I could eat a whole one. They're fucking good, but they will give you heartburn.
Right. Well, I was in Spain at one point. Let me tell you this, and this is a very bizarre story because I don't even remember what I ate. I went to Barcelona. Was I there one night or 2 nights? An amazing city. It's like a giant avenue, the streets are like massive, like wide, massively, like enormous, and like lined with the craziest architecture you've ever seen on either side. Um, a lot of it quite different, like through the ages, massive and imposing, and it's just a crazy, crazy place. And I don't remember what I ate. My biggest takeaway that I remember from being there, apart from seeing, I went into Gaudi's Familia Cathedral, and that was amazing. That was completely amazing. Apart from the new face of it that some other artists had designed to finish his work, and not at all in keeping with his vision. I remember being amazed at the disappointment of that.
Mm.
But one of the main things I remember is seeing a group of Spanish kids. One of them was retarded, like downy, with like jet black hair, but about 3 or 4 of them. They weren't all downies, just the one, and they all had caught a pigeon on a wire by the neck, and were dragging it down the street so that blood was coming out of it. And it was all fucked up, and it was weird. And I remember thinking, is this what fucking Spanish kids do? Retarded or otherwise, they fucking they invented some lasso out of wire for a pigeon and fucking hooked it by the neck and were slowly torturing it to death. You do hear harsh stories about Spanish. There was a traditional way to deal with their loyal dogs, or their bird dogs or greyhounds or something. They wouldn't just kill them. They hang them up and let them slowly die. They have some harsh. I do believe the Spanish have some harsh ideas about things. You can see it a little bit in if you ever read Hemingway's, otherwise modernist and shitty author Hemingway, fucking piece of shit, son of a bitch. But his one book is not bad. The one Metallica wrote the song about.
For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Yes, that one. Yeah. But it gives you an insight into a character of a kind of harsh and a person who is willing to torture and kill.
Wait, let's take a step back.
What?
I don't like Hemingway either. Why do you hate Hemingway?
It's simplistic modernist bullshit. Just kind of I'm going to use as few words as possible. And for all his manliness, he shot himself like a fucking wuss. I don't know.
Why did he shoot himself? I don't know that.
But I did like For Whom the Bell Tolls. And parts of it were very good, I thought, of that one book. Of all the things of his I ever read, most of which I was like, this is bullshit. I finished that one, and I kind of liked it. Even though it was kind of very modern and liberal in some ways, I guess. Yeah. Well, what do you think of him?
Oh no, I have the same take. I think I call him Hemingway because of how fucking boring he is.
Yeah, boring. Yeah,
it's boring. I don't like him. I don't like Steinbeck. I don't like any of the moderns. I don't like any. I really hate Great Gatsby.
That was shit. It's so boring. It's so boring.
If I'm gonna print some labels out real quick before I forget. So if you hear that noise, I'm sorry. But if that was the only thing that I read growing up, if I would have only gone by suggestions and stuff that I learned in school, I would have never read anything after school. That shit was so boring. They need to give Conan and John Carter of Mars to young boys and Lovecraft.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's when you first, because I was reading those things at that time. I was reading all that. I remember when I was reading all those books. I remember reading a lot of Edgar S. Burroughs, Tarzan, and stuff like that, and the books you mentioned. And then when you're in class, you're forced to read these, especially that one. What's it called? The guy you said. What's the author's name that did? What's the book?
Fitzgerald.
Yeah, F. Scott Fitzgerald. That's right. Exactly. I remember being told to read this, and it's extremely important. And he's like the ultimate genius. And I remember just thinking, this is the most boring fucking. I couldn't even get through it. I was like, this is fucking boring and stupid. And who gives? It's not only boring. It's like basically shit ass liberal fucking assessment of a class, and just sort of like mildly cleverly, perhaps in its propaganda, while at the same time being utterly boring and pointless and nothing much happening.
Yeah.
And I remember that was my first break from the academy, let's say, of what we were being taught, and thinking, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a personal fault of mine, but I do not understand what is great about this.
Yeah, it's I'm of the same mind. I absolutely adored the fantasy stuff, right? I absolutely just like loved it. I loved fantasy and sci-fi and like all this kind of shit. And it was like my English teachers in school were like, "Oh, I don't why you read that." They looked down their nose at it like it was like low. It's like, you have to read the classics, like To Kill a Fucking Mockingbird. Who gives a fuck? Yeah, what a piece of
We had
shit.
to read that too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck about that? Who gives a fuck about Catcher in the Rye? Kiss my dick. What a I don't even know what that book's about.
I didn't read that one. I don't know that one. I knew the other two, but I don't know Catcher in the Rye. What happens in that?
I read it in school, and I remember like our teacher got us all riled up because she's like, "Oh, this is a book that we had to send a note home to get the parents to sign it or some gay." And so we like read this book, and I was expecting this thing to have like murder and sex and like awesome stuff, like what I mean, that like teenage boys would be into. And it's not. I think it just like says the N-word 2 times or something. Like big fucking deal. Like I'll say the N-word 2 times right now. Like big deal. Like let's get some murder. Let's get some blood and guts. Let's get some let's get us something with some dick. You know what I mean? Like let's read a story.
Liberal heroes like Hunter S. Thompson used to say the N-word, and like everybody used to say the N-word. Like you could read a sci-fi story by him. What's the guy that used to do the shit? I can't remember. I'm losing the track to follow. What's the guy that did what's his name? He used to be friends with T-Rex. He was a sci-fi author. What the fuck?
T-Rex? Who's T-Rex?
Yeah. T-Rex, the fucking British 70s hard rock guy. Like you don't know T-Rex? He used to wear a top hat, long hair.
No.
Okay. Let me think now. Let me think. It'll come to me. Shit.
T-Rex.
Anyways, a famous sci-fi author is what I'm talking about, but I am perhaps losing the ability to track what I'm talking about because I'm out of drink. I could get a drink, and I could get even drunker. And I mean, why not? Hold on a sec.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about here. T-Rex. I'm looking him up. T-Rex. I've never heard of this guy. Who's a Solar Temple? Are you in the chat? Because he might know who this is. Eric Bolin. I don't know who this is. Dude, I'm like a heavy metal rock and roll guy. You know what I mean? I'm knowledgeable, and I have never heard of this. I don't know. Who we got? Let me look at the chat here. Dave was basically expecting a turn. Yeah. Yeah, that's Catcher in the Rye. It was so Ulfric says, Dave, do you like Typo Negative? Nah, not really. I mean, I don't hate on him. It's okay. It's just not really my style of music. He's got a couple of songs that are pretty good. Right. I know some of his hits, but I don't know. Plus, when I was coming up, right? When I was coming up, Typo Negative was the band that fat goth girls would like obsess over, and I always hate goth girls. I've always hated goths. I always thought they were really gay. So goth girls like obsessed over Peter Steele and acted like so. I was like, fuck me. Turns out later I find out Peter Steele is actually pretty based, but I never really got into Typo Negative. Yeah, I've heard a lot of their stuff, and I don't know. I know that Black #1 song is pretty catchy.
I like
You know,
Carnivore. You like Carnivore?
Yeah, I'm not real. It's all right.
It's not bad, yeah. I like some of the themes in that. It's better than fucking Typo Negative, anyways. I would say.
Yeah, it goes pretty hard. I don't know. It just don't do it for me. Just don't tickle my pickle.
I still can't think of that author, and it's on the tip of my tongue. He wrote there was a sci-fi book I have here about what basically people fighting in the future in Zeppelins, and it was very kind of like, oh, what the fuck is his name?
Philip Francis Nolan.
I think he's the one who did the Black Blade series. You know that one? Blue Oyster Cult wrote a song about it.
I do like Blue Oyster Cult.
Yeah, you know Black Blade, Blue Oyster. You know that song?
Yeah, I do.
Fucking, what's that guy's name?
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. I have to look it up.
Hold on. It is Jennifer S. Estep.
What? No.
Oh, I just said. Okay.
Is it Stormbringer? Is that what it is? I don't know what the fuck.
Michael Moorcock. That's who it is.
Oh, yeah.
Michael,
he does
that's what I'm talking about.
Elric of Melnibourne or whatever.
Yeah,
Elric.
yeah. Michael Moorcock. That's the one. Yeah. Sorry.
Michael Moorcock. I know Moorcock. I've read.
Yeah, he apparently like he grew up in the same fucking shitty council estate in England as T-Rex. You know T-Rex? T-Rex who did oh fucking what's T-Rex famous for? Shit, I know his song. I like his songs. Some of his songs. Fuck, what's he famous for? Like shit. Hold on. It's because I'm drunk and because I'm old and I don't know what the fuck is going on. You're lucky that there's still the remnant of whatever experience I had in my life that I can like write these amazing fictional stories and things.
Apparently he had a song called
Get It
On.
In the period of forget T-Rex. What the fuck? What?
He said Get It On, Hot Love.
Yeah, you know, Get It On, fucking Bang a Gong, all that shit.
I never heard that.
Really? You don't know what I'm talking about?
So. I don't think so. Let me.
He's a famous British guy. Hold on.
Like we can't play it on the YouTube either, right? That's the other problem. Yeah,
he had a lot of famous and decent 70s hard rock songs, let's say.
Okay.
But it's just funny, like he would grow up in the same estate as Michael Moorcock, and they would know each other.
I know that. I know this song.
Yeah.
Da 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 da.
Yeah, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So whatever point I was making originally, it was that him and Michael Moorcock knew each other like casually and around their estate, and that's just funny.
All right, Mr. Brendo, I gotta get going here. We're going on 3 hours here, bub. I got a couple things I gotta do. I got some stuff I gotta do.
I'm sure you do.
I mean, 3 hours is much longer than I thought it would go, and especially with all the carry on and. But that's we're like performing monkeys here. Performing monkeys. We can only enjoy ourselves as we perform.
I like that because I'm a big fan of primates. I'm a gorilla respecter.
Yeah, Solar Temple. I prefer T-Rex, Acid Folk era, to be honest. Acid Folk. I don't know. I thought I'd listened to all his eras. But yeah, he was good. He has T-Rex has T-Rex's actual name was something. Mark Boland was his name. And his son he named his son Roland Boland.
That's clever. I like that.
I got away with naming my kids some pretty outlandish things, to be honest. I got away with it with the wife somehow. I don't know how. And I'm pretty happy with that. How that turned out. I don't know about you. Did you name them outlandish things? You
No,
don't
I
have to say-
gave them like sort of normal first names, and I gave them folkish middle names. So they have Germanic middle names.
Yeah, I went really crazy with the middle names. And middle names is where I went totally.
Can you tell me
retarded.
one? Tell me one of your crazy kid name, or do you, if you feel comfortable on
Middle
saying it.
names? Tiberius is one, and what's the other one? That's
That's dope.
shit. What's the other one? It's fucking. I can't even think of it. I'm so.
I forgot his kid's middle name.
Shit. What is it? Oh fuck.
Yo, I forget my kids' birthdays all the time.
Oh, me too. I do that as well now.
I can't even like remember my wife's birthday. I can't remember birthdays.
Yeah,
But,
me neither. So this is another mutual problem we have. It's part of our whatever left side of the brain kind of shit, or is it right side? Yeah. I have a problem with that, and like people get angry with me. I'm like, oh, but I do not remember that kind of dates and things.
No, I can't. The only reason I can remember my wife's birthday is because it's on a very important like holiday, I guess you could say.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still can't. I couldn't tell you yeah, I'll tell you something. I know that my wife's birthday is in August, so it's coming up. But even as we speak, I couldn't tell you what day it was. I know it's like after it's 20 something. It's coming up. Yeah, it's soon. Yeah, I do know that.
I also have this problem where I can't wait till the day to give a gift. So I order the gift. I almost never wrap it. And as soon as it gets in the mail, I get excited and I have to give it to her immediately. She hates it. She despises it. I also hate surprises. So she's not allowed to give me surprises. She has to tell me what the presents are.
So you're a bit of a tyrant around the place, are you? You're like,
certain ways.
You have a big list on the wall of things you can and cannot do. Is that the way it is?
Yeah, you're not allowed to surprise me with anything. You're not allowed to. Another thing is like if there's something, you can't leave me on cliffhangers. Like, yo, I got something I got to talk to you about later. We don't do that. You tell me what it is. Yeah, we don't do that. And then like my friends are like, yo, I got something important I got to talk to you about later. I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna tell me what it is, or I'm gonna tell you go fuck yourself and refuse to talk to you about it. You can't give me cliffhangers.
Clever. Have I ever given you a cliffhanger? Did I ever say to you,
Dave, give me a cliffhanger? If you ever sort of gave me a cliffhanger, I've like forced it out of you.
Dave, I have so much news I can't tell you till next week.
I hate surprises. Yeah. I hate cliffhangers. I have to know immediately. It's not because like it's not a tyrant thing. It's a impatience thing. I'm not a patient person. I want things either done now or there's all the time. It's like I have guys that'll be like, yo, let's get around to this project on this day or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, I'm doing it right now. So I'm excited about it right now. So I'm doing it now and you can join in or not. And that's how it works.
Let me tell you this one thing. And this is my bit of advice I like to leave everybody with, to be honest, is that I found, and what you said just reminded me of that, for whatever reason, you can be as professional as you like and as good as you like at any one thing you do. But there's always going to be, more so than ever in the modern world and in the corporate life, a middleman or an agency or something you have to deal with that can unfairly and unnecessarily cut you out of the whatever you're doing, like professionally in terms of revenue and money that you're trying to make. And the closer you can get to being just you and your audience, which is what, say, Dave and I are trying to do with our books, the better off you are. And something, it doesn't have to be books, but anything similar to that. If there's one lesson I learned from like decades of working in the corporate world, is that everybody's out for their own. People will cut you off randomly, and it's very, very hard to rely on anybody. And the closer you can be to working to produce something that you can directly sell, I think the better off you are ultimately. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I No, I agree. You should just do it yourself. If there's anything in this world, also 9 times out of 10, when you do something all yourself, you will make more money. If you exchange your time to do something, you sacrifice something. Because here's the thing: if you pay a service or something to do something for you, that is going to come at an upcharge even if you don't think it does. For example, I make almost double selling from my store than I do selling through Amazon. My books, they're the same price on my website as they are on Amazon. I have to charge for shipping because I'm not Amazon and I have a fleet of trucks. So I have to use the mail service. But when I unload the books, I lug the boxes. If you get a book from me, that is from me. Sometimes if I know you, I'll leave you a little note. I give little stickers and gifts. If you order a bunch of books from me, I have like a big collection. I go to used bookstores and I go find the old pulp section and I clear them out because a lot of times they'll be like a quarter or a dollar or $2 or whatever. These books, I'll just drop $50, $100 and get a big stack of old, cool looking books from this 60s, 70s, and 80s vintage, Ace paperbacks, and I just give them away for free. Guys will get old Tarzan books. They'll get old Buck Rogers books. They'll get old Conan stuff. Well, Conan's pretty rare. People buy up the Conan. I keep the Conan. But, dude, there's so many cool. Paul Anderson, for example, is an awesome Ace paperback era pulp writer that people don't talk about. He has a lot of cool books. You might get like an Asimov book or like whatever I find. I throw gifts in there. Like if I have extra shit, I've sent free shirts out. Just because if I appreciate you bought a lot of books from me, just because I make so much more money selling the books myself that I can afford to give my customers gifts, bookmarks, freaking. I just bought like a big pack of Cthulhu stickers. And if you order books from me, you get Cthulhu stickers. Sometimes I'll have extra books that I've gotten, that are like author copies. Just like proofread copies that there's something a little bit fucked up in them. I'll give those away for free to the reader. Like he's not going to care that the margin is a little bit fucked up or maybe there's a little bit of mistakes or whatever. It's a free book. You get free shit. Right. So even with spending that extra money and giving away those gifts for people that order, like, you order 4 or 5 books from me, I'll give you that shit. I'm still making more money because I just do it myself. Do shit yourself. You'll make more money. But eventually you're going to run into a problem where you don't have enough time to do it all yourself. You're going to have to make the choice between time and money. So you'll get there. But no, I know that's a different tangent, but that's something that
well, it's true. You're right that we are reliant on, I am more reliant on it. All my books are printed on Amazon, so I'm reliant on Amazon not to kick me off. And they could always fuck me around. Yeah, that's another weakness on my part because they could always just, for some reason or another, you never know, the winds of change and the tides of opinion that I could be booted off there, and that would be the end of that.
Here's the thing with Amazon, though. It's like people are worried about, dude, there's the spiciest shit you can imagine on it. Amazon does not give a fuck. They are such a soulless, greedy piece of shit corporation that has millions and millions of books. Dude, Bronze Age Pervert's still on there. Mike Murr, or whatever was his name, Mike Meir, or whatever the fuck his name is. He's on Mike Ma. He's on there.
All right, that guy.
Yeah, dude. His book is what is that? About harassment architecture. He said he like literally tells you to go commit crimes. He's like, in the book it says go murder a fucking billionaire, steal his boat, flee to the country, do it again, murder another billionaire. Like he like talks about openly how he supports murder, like all this like crazy shit. He's on there, dude. The Confederate flags. They like complained about Confederate flags. Amazon, after they got all this backlash, pushed them to the back of the results. And even now, you can go buy like if you find the fucking link, you could buy. They don't give a fuck. You know why? Because it makes them money. Because they're greedy pieces of shit. Guess what? I would rather work with soulless, greedy piece of shit corporation because I can just operate in their belly and they'll never ever know than fucking whatever. Right? So fuck Amazon. Yeah, whatever. But you know what? Amazon is giving guys like Brendan, guys like me, guys like so many other people ways to make money and get books out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it is a slight that it's not. I mean, there's no way to be. My point was that you should cut out as many of those middlemen as you can. and yeah, so there's always going to be some kind of chain where you have to get along with somebody and cooperation or whatever. But I don't know, just like it's hard, like especially something like, can you imagine if you were producing your books and there was somebody else you had to run it by to approve all the stories and do everything else like you would, in the corporate world, there's teams and endless teams and everything gets watered down to its most idiotic and ultimately, which is the most democratic solution to any idea that comes along, and everything gets petered down to this little wastewater nothingness. It's the reason at least part of the reason the modern world is in the dire straits is that you can't get pure strains of ideas, which in their purest form are always from an individual mind. And the closer to the vision of the individual you can be, usually the more proper and influential the idea will ultimately be, is what I think.
Yeah. All the best movies that you watch that everybody loves were all made by one crazy tyrannical guy that probably abused the actors and treated them like shit and did weird shit.
Yeah, abusive. Yeah, probably a bit of a psychotic even.
Yeah. Go look at the history of the Exorcist movie. John.
That guy just died. Like this week. Do you know that?
Oh, really?
Friedkin, the Exorcist
Friedkin,
guy. Yeah, he died just like a couple days ago.
There's a part in that movie where Linda Blair is flailing back and forth and she's screaming. It's like kind of on the beginning when she's first getting possessed. They had her hooked up to this like machine that did it. Well, the machine broke, her harness broke, slammed her against the thing and broke her spine, broke several vertebrae. And those screams you hear are her real screams. And what happened was the guys on set, the hands were like, dude, this she's like getting fucked up. And Freakin's like, no, keep going. He's like, keep going. This is great. She's really screaming.
He did a movie later on. I can tell you two interesting things about Friedkin. First of all, on that very set and that very scene you're just talking about, one of the doctors turned out to be a famous 70s serial killer.
Yeah.
He appears in the movie. And he's like a real doctor from New York or whatever. And he is hired to be a doctor on the show during one of those scenes. And it turns out he's later becomes a famous gay serial killer in New York. And Friedkin went and visited him in jail when he was arrested afterwards. So that's interesting and dark alone. What was my other fucking thing? Shit. Of course, it's lost me. Oh, shit. It was interesting, too.
Something about his later movie?
Oh, shit. Yeah, that was it. Yeah. He, relating to our moon discussion, he does a later movie. It's kind of shit, but it has interesting parts. I can't remember what it's called, but it culminates in a scene where astronauts are on the moon and as they're walking across the moon, they come across Christ on the crucifix embedded in the moon. And it's like a big dramatic scene. That's quite interesting. And, he was a big Catholic, that guy, Friedkin.
Mm.
But it was like a, interesting, intense scene from a Catholic perspective, I guess. But I thought you might like that, considering your hatred for moon landing shit, as you pronounced very recently. Earlier pronounced you were back and forth, possibly, whatever. And then you got fed up with my talk.
I'm sorry. I think I'm coming around. I think I'm pro moon now.
Yeah. Nice. But Friedkin, he was good. It was not bad. I mean, that movie was brilliant. I still think the most brilliant scene in that movie, in The Exorcist, is when the priest is running. Or no, he's dreaming. There's a scene of the priest dreaming, and it's a weird scene. He's looking at his mother is in the distance on a subway or something, and he's calling for her or running after her. But it's shot in like a high intensity light, and the sound is nothing but his breathing as though he's sleeping. And I never seen anything like it. It's very intense, like believable scene of someone dreaming. It was the most like realistic dream sequence I've seen in a film, I think.
Yeah, that film's brilliant. It's brilliant. He does so much. We did a whole Culture Dads episode about The Exorcist.
Did
It
you?
was like,
Oh.
yeah, we did like there's so many scenes where he'll have like something placed there and then it moves and it's only a blip of a second, but it's designed like fuck you up. There's like so many like background sounds of like pigs squealing and bees and weird. There's a lot of implied. It's a fucking genius movie. It's one of the greatest ever. There's
Yeah,
a
it's so-
reason it like made people puke.
Yeah, it's very odd and unsettling movie, yeah, for sure. But yeah,
It's
he
still
decided.
scary to this day, dude. I watched it when I was getting ready for that episode doing the movie. I had to turn it off. It was like late at night. Here's another thing about me. I get spooked real easy. I can't watch horror movies at night.
What? You?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who does horror?
Yeah. I
Really?
don't I'm actually not a big fan of horror movies. Like
What? Why? How could this be?
I don't know. I don't really like horror movies that much. I like sci-fi horror and
What?
supernatural horror. I don't know. In supernatural horror movies, and I only really like the old ones. I don't watch any new ones.
So what kind of horror movie can you not watch then? Like what's the
Like
scariest
The
one to you?
Exorcist. The Exorcist. I can't watch The Exorcist at night.
Any other one?
Poltergeist
Oh.
scares the shit out of me.
Yeah. No, it has
Yeah.
scary parts. It was good. Poltergeist can be very scary. Yeah.
Yeah,
Anything
I
else?
just
What about like
ones like
Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something?
no, I don't really like slasher movies. I think slasher movies are dumb. Outside of the first
Oh,
Texas
but that one
Chainsaw
is brilliant.
Massacre. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is brilliant. The first one and Halloween is brilliant. All of the
Yeah,
other ones are
yeah.
gay and lost the plot.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably. Yeah. But
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
can't
Texas Chainsaw
watch-
Massacre. If you Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's so horrifying. I mean, but you know, and you're disgusted with yourself for having even watched it. You feel like, oh, you feel dirty afterwards. But then
It's
after
like-
over time, you just learn to appreciate the artistry of making you so extreme, making something so horrifying. I just think. I don't know.
So I'm a very superstitious person. I'm also I have a very vivid imagination and I have very intense sensory things. So really horrifying visualization like sticks in my mind and fucking freaks me out. And I don't know. I'm one of those. I guess I'm also what's it the apophiliac, whatever the fuck, where so if I see something in a movie and it's like some sort of weird symbolism, I'm like, oh fuck, this is summoning something. And then like I'll start fucking getting myself freaked out and I won't be able to sit. So dude, I'm nuts, dude. I fucking, and then it'll give me nightmares. I have like really vivid, horrible nightmares. So it's like, dude, I'm like that. I don't know. I can't help
Right.
it.
Yeah. Well, no, I can. I have at times felt like that. I remember there's things I thought I shouldn't watch this because it would be bad luck to watch this right now. I remember thinking that before. Things that I've seen that are yes, horrifying and do a good job of being horrifying and imply things. Do you ever see like the Japanese versions of the original version of The Ring and the Japanese version of that? Do you ever see that?
Yeah.
So that had a kind of
Fucking terrifying.
yeah, like a spooky, actually like almost sort of ancient, even paganish, cursish, a feeling about it that was like just I don't know, a kind of ultimate dread in a lot of ways.
The Japanese are brilliant at supernatural horror. Their supernatural horror, the way that they make evil spirits and the effects, the way that they wield effects in their movies are terrifying, dude.
Yeah.
I can't watch them. They scare me too bad. That's probably why I like horror literature so much, because I can experience the horror and it's like in my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's definitely an effect that people go for. Like my eldest, his favorite movie is his favorite type of film to watch is horror. I'm not sure why. I know I showed him like a lot of things because being who I am, I showed him a lot of sci-fi, horror, and fantasy type films. His favorite is definitely horror and zombie films he likes in particular. I can see the appeal, I guess, because it's sort of I don't know. just the jump scares and the scares and things. Everybody likes to have that feeling, and then for it to not be real is a real thrill, I guess. But
I'm a big fan of Jaws. I think Jaws is a brilliant movie.
it is brilliant.
Yeah, I like Jaws. I don't like murder porn gore movies. I think they're
No, there's shit.
stupid.
Oh,
Saw and Hostel. I think they're trash.
Oh, they're terrible. Yeah, they are terrible. Yeah, it is trash. Yeah, absolutely trash. Yeah, how did that ever come to be a thing? And that's like very prevalent now.
I liked implied gore, like in the first.
The worst ones
Halloween.
were actually, and I watched them. I don't know why. I wish I hadn't. The fucking Human Centipede and the sequel. The sequel was worse.
God.
Did you see that?
Yeah. Feed.
Oh, fuck.
Disgusting.
I was like, this is fucking terrible.
I'll tell you what, I actually have a little bit of appreciation for Human Centipede because it is such an absurd, old-timey grindhouse retarded idea. You know what I mean? It's something you would see in like an 80s B movie, right?
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of respect for it. It is a shitty, stupid fucking movie, but
the sequel was even more like dehumanizing and shit. And even like the fucking, I just remember the older guy with the beard, and he's like, I'd rather be fucking the retarded kid. This kind of like lowest of the low shit. Like not even the fucking serial killer stuff. It was like, oh, it's like everybody in this is it just makes you feel like hopeless. It was overly too much negativity like that. Well,
why would you make a second one? You know what I mean?
No, I don't know.
That's not a concept that needs to be explored
to make money, I guess. To make money, obviously. He realized he could go even lower, and he did.
It's gross. No, I think the first Halloween movie. I love John Carpenter films, The Fog. I love The Thing. The Thing, I think, is probably the best horror movie ever made.
Yeah. And that actually is the reason that my second oldest won't watch horror movies. It scared him so bad. He
really,
yeah, might have showed it to him too young or something. He won't watch them ever since.
It might just be supernatural stuff that spooks me out because I believe in that stuff. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But The Thing is thoroughly disturbing, and I really, really love. I think it's a fucking brilliant movie. I think it's such a good movie. I don't think there's a better one. As far as horror movies go, I don't think there's a better one. The first Alien movie, I think, comes close. I think that's a magnificent film. Halloween, first Texas Chainsaw Massacre. First Texas Chainsaw Massacre is almost like a piece of art. A lot of people they think of it, they remember it as this like gore porn, ridiculous thing, but it's not. It's like this very artsy, atmospheric, moody kind of film.
There's a great genius in it.
Yeah. It's a genius film, and also I don't think that it shows any killing. It's all implied.
In Texas Chainsaw Massacre, no,
yeah,
not. No, it definitely shows the girl being put on the meat hook and stuff.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, the scene where the girl is put on the meat hook and she's like, ah. There's definitely some killing in that.
Another film that I really like. I like The First Children of the Corn.
Oh yeah,
I love that film. It's a stupid film, but it's got a weird occulty kind of cosmic horror element to it. It's like a folk horror, like reimagined.
Yeah. You know what film I like is Cat's Eye. Do you ever see Cat's Eye?
No, I never seen that.
Oh shit! Because you hate Stephen King or whatever. He's got some good stuff though.
Well, Children of the Corn was originally a Stephen King.
Yeah, that's it. That was him. Yeah, that's why I thought of it probably. Yeah, but Cat's Eye, yeah, it's like 3 stories to do with a cat that's like moving through these places. And so, what's the first story? He's in. I can't remember the first one. The second one, he's in some gamblers. He's in Las Vegas or something like that, and this big shot guy who plays Vlad Harkonnen in Dune, the big fat guy. Makes this other guy go out on a ledge and walk around the edge of a building all the way around, just because he was caught him cheating with his wife or something like that. And then the third one is like some little goblin that's trying to suck the breath out of a girl, so the cat has to save the girl or something. I don't remember, but was just good. Oh, the first one was James Woods trying to quit smoking. And so he goes to this agency that's like a mafioso kind of, we will make you quit smoking no matter what. Just sign this form, sign this disclosure, and we are going to do whatever it takes to make you quit smoking. And these are the rules or whatever else, right? And so he signs up for it because he really wants to quit. And there's like guys hanging out in his closet and watching him all the time. So it just shows him like he's breaking down and he wants to smoke and he tries to have a little smoke. Finally, he has a little sneaky smoke in his car, and he looks up after like he's in a traffic jam. He leans down, has a smoke at the bottom of his car, looks up, and there's a guy looking right at him. And the deal is, if the first infraction, what is it? I think they take his wife and like rape his wife or something, or like like right, yeah, some fucked up thing like this, right? Maybe I'm wrong as to what's the first, second, third infraction. But the third infraction is that he's dead, so you have to quit smoking, or these are the things. That's pretty good. So good movie. You should watch it. Cat's Eye. You would like it because it's not like spooky, super scary, supernatural shit like Exorcist or some of the other ones. You'd like it, I'd say.
I'll check it out. That does sound like something I would like.
Cat's Eye, yeah. Cat's Eye. And it's a good like 80s movie. 80s, 90s, 80s. I think it's 80s, yeah.
I love the 80s movies.
Oh,
They get, to me, like this like 75 to 95. Like that period, in my opinion, is a period of art and entertainment that stands next to any epoch you could imagine. Right? I just think that the music and the film, I go back and I watch these films, especially like the late 70s, early 80s ones. Everything from The Thing to Blade Runner to the first Alien. And dude, these films were fucking magnificent. The first Terminator, just everything about them, the soundtracks, the quality of the textures of the film, the acting. It was just, they were the best that they ever were.
Yeah, it wasn't going to get as good as that again after they lost that. They lost the art of that, and they lost it too soon. We could have had another decade or so, but they lost it a bit too soon. The CGI was the first thing that fucked it up. Before all the woke shit, it was CGI that fucked it up, I think. Yeah.
Go back and watch, like today, you guys go back and watch the Matrix movies. They look fucking stupid. They're the ugliest, stupidest movies I've ever seen. I can't believe I liked them when they came out.
Well, the first Matrix was a good idea, at least. It was good. Like the story idea was pretty good. And it's still to this day it affects us with the fucking red pill, blue pill shit.
Yeah, right? I guess it wasn't really anything new though. Like that's here's the deal: is like these like really profound movies. These were ideas that were in Pulp Fiction for like 40 years. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, longer. Yeah. Do you ever read the original story for fucking? It's a great movie too. With Roddy Piper. What's the one? They Live.
They Live.
Yeah.
What's the original story?
It's like you know what it is? It's a fucking, I don't know what it is. It's the shortest pulp story you ever read. I swear to God, it's like 2 pages. But everything's in there. This guy fucking, in the story, it's so short. But he, I think some guy goes to a hypnotist. And it starts with him like the hypnotic show was over, but it says either I didn't wake up or when he told me to wake up, I became fully awake. And he looks around him and he sees amongst the audience and all around him, half the people are these fucking reptilians or whatever.
Oh,
right?
Man.
And then he goes on an almost immediate killing spree and spends the rest of the story just like vengefully fighting against them to the point of like collecting their babies and like killing them in a room or something like that. And like
it's fucking awesome.
It is, and it's so short. It's literally like 2-3 pages of a fucking pulp story from whatever fucking magazine was going on in the day. And his name is like John Nada, as in like John Nothing or whatever. But I mean, that's it. It doesn't ever say, it's good. It's well written, very well written. It's like you can admire him for sort of his immediate conviction and sticking to it right to the end. not ever doubting that he's he's hallucinating or deluded or whatever. But it's just a good story, yeah. But that's what it's based on. Also, the original story for The Thing is excellent. I have it here by what's his name, Campbell, I think, Joseph Campbell.
Yeah.
Is that right? It's very similar to Carpenter's Thing, but it's like
Different.
well, no, it's just it puts more detail into it, and it's just excellent. He's also the one who did the original version what's the movie with the vampires, and they made a couple of versions of one with Charlton Heston, the superior one with Charlton Heston, later with that fucking Will Smith guy, where the vampires have taken over the earth and the guy's surviving on his own. You know the one I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the original with Charlton Heston was pretty good. What was it fucking called? And all the guys have like white hair, and they're wearing druid stuff. Like I'm wearing like black hoods, and there's like black guys with like white hair and sunglasses and stuff.
Omega Man.
Mega Man. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's a really good story by Campbell. If you read the story, because it's not in those movies they made him more into zombies, and that in his original story it's more like literal vampires have taken over the world. And all the old tropes apply. So there's a running water or something, the vampires can't cross it, and all this, and it just shows like the details of a guy surviving on his own or whatever. It's good. It's very good.
Speaking of stories, do you remember the story I submitted for Aegeon 2, or was that Aegeon 3?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. You should submit another one for the next one. That would be good. No?
Yeah, I gotta get back. I gotta get on writing. I got some longer form stuff I've been chipping away at, but I'll crank out some short stories.
Yeah,
and pass them out.
Yeah, you should for sure. Yeah.
Do you remember what it was about?
It was about the Earth is overtaken by like biomechanical. How do you put it?
Yeah, it was like human body parts.
Yeah, basically, yeah, a runaway effect of like flesh mechanics.
Yeah,
ending in ultimate misery.
Yeah,
there was a real cosmic doom element to it, which makes me like surprised to hear that you have this fear factor when you see some of those movies. But
yeah, because I do.
You go for the extreme, like you were like. When you wrote that, I remember I had to like edit a bit. You were like, I was like, you can't. I think we should take out this part here where they're killing the babies.
Yeah, no, it was so the scene that you. So I put that story into the Weird Works of Dave Martel collection. I hope you're cool with that. I probably should have asked you.
What am I?
But the part you're talking about that you chopped out was and I remember you're like, yo, I gotta chop this out. I was like, what do you mean you gotta chop this out? But you're right, it is a little spicy. It was a little too spicy for audience. What happened? So the story, it was called Parables of the Biomancer. That was like that's actually one of the weirdest stories I ever wrote. But the part is he's talking, it's like a manifesto from a mad scientist, and he's talking about how he broke the spirit of religious people in his time period. And what he did was he made clones of like Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha and Zoroaster and like all the great holy men, and he paraded them around so all of the worshipers would like worship them and everything. And then he brought them back to his lab and he chopped them up and sewed them together into a monstrosity and put them in a tube to float. That would keep them alive and suffering so everybody could walk past and see his domination over religion. It was pretty edgy. It was pretty edgy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was good though. Yeah, I actually like the illustration the guy did for me too. It was like really, he's a bit of a. He was doing illustrations for like death metal covers or something like that and stuff. He did a good kind of edgy. I don't know how you'd explain it, but
yeah,
I like the guy I like that. I actually never talked to him since. I must maybe get a hold of him again, but I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, we should probably shut her down. Yeah, it's like 3 hours and 30 minutes, and I've like it's like past 3 a.m. for me. I gotta get to bed.
Yeah, you
I
gotta
gotta
go to bed.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for coming on and shooting the shit.
absolutely. You know, we
Eh?
gotta hang out in real life sometime because it's like every time we get together, we just like yak.
Did you
It'll
ever
be a
do
good
that
time.
thing yet with what's his name, Tom Rousseau and all that going over to you? Did that happen already or no?
Nope, he's coming in a week.
Oh, in a week. Because I
In
think
1 week.
I think he's got a layover here, and he said something to me about like I'll be in Dublin for like a few hours if you want to come out near the airport at some point, and I think that's probably that same time.
Yeah, he's gonna be coming this
I don't
way.
know. Yeah, but that's cool. That's so it's in a week, and he'll be there for what, a few days or what?
Yeah, he'll be here for 4 or 5 days or something like that. He's gonna spend a couple days in Philadelphia, and then he's gonna come to the event, and he's gonna speak, and we're gonna hang out with him. Me and old Tom are gonna kick it, and we're gonna drink some booze and hang out with the fam, and probably at the event. I hope people don't hurt. Everybody's gonna be there trying to talk to him. he's not gonna get a piece. You know what I mean? But hey, you pay costs to be the boss. You know, he's a fucking big star
Oh,
now. So
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Let me know how that goes. Yeah, I want to hear about all that shit. Get some
yeah, I'm gonna
video
try.
of all that. Get some videos of all that when he's there and all that.
Oh yeah, you can't have Big Brother Tom over in the U.S. of A. and not like get a video with him or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Okay. Well, listen.
All right, Bub.
That's it. We're gonna shut her down. So that's it.
Yep.
Hope you all enjoyed it, and until next time. Goodbye.